Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm one of your co-hosts, Rico Borrego,
I am your other co-host, Tony Borrego.
and this is the podcast known as Relatively Sound, the podcast down below. Today, we have friend of the podcast, Chris Antonucci, back on. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
We're doing good. I'm nervous about this episode. Um,
Really?
yeah, because of Tony over here. Today, we are going to be looking at my album for album suggestion for this month, which is Tom Petty's second solo album, Wildflowers, which I'm just going to get this, off my chest right now. It is currently my third favorite album of all time. So it is huge for me. It is absolutely one of my favorites. It's a 10 out of 10 for me. It's an A plus. And, we did an episode last year, I believe,
Yep.
Tony's first Tom Petty album, Hard Promises. And Chris, you were on that episode.
That
I
was my
think that was your
debut.
first appearance on the
That and
podcast.
the Beach Boys. Yep.
Yeah, we did the Beach Boys right after. And Tony enjoyed that album. And if people want to listen to our history with Petty and everything, go listen to our Hard Promises episode because we cover all that there. We're
Right.
just going to skip all that now because Wildflowers is a long album. It's 15 songs.
But it
Um,
doesn't.
yeah,
No.
it's for me, it flies by. But I have a feeling it didn't for Tony, but I don't know. My assumptions is that Tony did not love this album, and I think it's because of the production. But that's just me. I'm very curious if my some of these predictions are going to be right or wrong. So I mean, Tony, did you I guess let me ask Chris really quick. Chris, this is like we were talking about this before we started the episode. This is also one of your favorite Petties, right?
Yeah, I'd say this is probably 1B to Full Moon Fever's 1A. And it was also like the second Petty album that you had me listen to
Yeah, because
when
I
I
think when
started.
I got into Petty, our mutual friend Matt,
Hmm.
I was asking him for suggestions because I got into Petty actually through I think it was the Greatest Hits album, and then like after that was surprisingly enough Mojo because at that time it actually was like a new album, and then I think Matt's like, oh well, my favorite is Wildflowers, so I'm like, let me go listen to that, and I loved it, and then when you start getting into him, I'm like, well, let me give you like Full Moon Fever, but then let me give you what I think is like his best. So
Yeah. Took a little while for me to get into. I think partly because of the length of it.
yeah, and
But then like once.
I think that's what's going to trip Tony up too.
Hmm.
And this is what I'm expecting like at the end of the year when we do our little kind of review episode where we go over albums
A
we've
wrap
talked
up.
about, wrap up. Yeah. I think this album will grow on him more because like Tony, you were mentioning that like you choose Octoon Baby has really grown on you, right?
Yes,
Um,
yes, it really has. I remember kind of like being able to like first hearing the album, being able to be like, okay, these songs are solid. I like these things about it and whatnot. And then, a few months later, I go back to listen to it, and then I just have that feeling where you just have like an
It's
appreciation for an
unlocked. Yep.
album. Yeah, it's unlocked exactly. And I was like, okay, I'm really glad they showed me this record, and I'm looking forward to any future U2 picks for me.
which we were talking about that too. You're gonna get one I think later this year.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay.
before we continue, for our visual listeners, watchers, point out Chris and I are both wearing our Tom Petty t-shirts.
We did not plan. I swear to God, we
No,
didn't.
no, we did not. And I almost forgot to even pack mine. So it was just a miracle I even remembered. And then Chris, why don't you go ahead and show them you have the Wildflowers and all the rest box set, and then I think you have what is the like 2014 or whatever it was reissue,
Here's the All the Rest box set.
which we're not getting into by the way. Today we're only tackling just the studio album.
Yeah, and then so this is
Yeah,
one I
that's
always wanted on vinyl, and luckily I found the I think it was like the Warner Brother reissues vinyl.
the box set.
Yeah, for like on sale on Pop Market. I was like, I can't pass that up.
Yeah, and I was kicking myself that I missed that, and it was just getting more and more expensive, but thankfully, a couple years ago they did the whole all the rest
Reissue.
reissues and whatnot. Um, Tony, do you want to give us your first thoughts or maybe what you were expecting going into the album? Because I will say, actually quite a bit of songs from this album. It's a long album, so you probably don't even know, you didn't know half of it, but you did know some of the singles and a couple of the non-single songs.
Well, let me preface this. I didn't wear a petty shirt, but I did almost wear corduroy pants. But um,
You're the only person I know
yes,
that owns corduroy pants, by the way.
I might
man, you got to get
there.
hip.
No, I gotta get a pair. Okay.
So, just to clarify, yes, the songs I think I knew beforehand were title track because you have played that many times. I've seen you post it online. Um, you don't know how it feels. I knew that one. I knew You Wreck Me, heard that like on the radio or whatever a bunch. It's Good to Be King, I knew.
That surprised me
Um,
a little.
was there a music video for it or no?
Yeah, I believe so.
Oh, okay. So maybe you saw the music video.
Um, I think for whatever reason I did know Honey not that well. Um, Don't Fade on Me sounded quite familiar, but I don't think I would have been able to pull that one out just from knowledge. Um, and Crawling Back to You I knew, and because also you've played that one
Yeah.
before. So that's like a third of the album right there that I already did know. I didn't know the songs inside and out though, but I did kind of know what I was getting into. Now you and I listened, my first listen we did together when you were up,
Yes. Which we
and
didn't spin in, unfortunately, because of course I don't travel with vinyl. And you don't
All
have a
right,
copy.
as long as
So,
you listened.
well, we listen. You have a good stereo setup, so that was good.
so I'm just gonna say some of my first thoughts, not in any orders. Don't pull your pitchforks out yet, because I may pull back those statements later.
Okay.
So, some thoughts. This is really your third favorite album of all the albums out there? Right. Other big thought, these drums are super loud.
I knew you were gonna say that.
And here, what's one more thought here? What's one more thought? Um, how the hell do you like House in the Woods? That is not a you song. That I feel like that would take down the album a few spots just for you.
What?
Like if I were to play you like a song like that from a different band, you would be like, no, no.
I think it sounds more like a song I would like than you would like.
Really, really.
Because we're just talking. First of all, we're just talking about the studio version, the album version, because um, there is on the Wildflowers, Finding Wildflowers, the alternative version they put out. There's a version of House in the Woods where there's like this really jazzy section in the middle
Yeah,
where it becomes almost a little prog like.
What? I definitely need to hear this.
Yeah, because what like for listeners, we're we might tackle in the future episode all the bonus songs, all the demos, all the alternative versions, but Tony only listened to the studio tracks for this one. Uh, but
So,
no, I'm
me saying
surprised.
those main thoughts here, what are your guys' reactions?
Well, Chris and I are a little surprised because as someone who is a big Chili Peppers fan as you, that you find I'm surprised you have any issues with the production because Rick Rubin to me kind of sounds the same on all albums except maybe
at
when you get to
at,
like
at
System
the
of a
time.
Down. Yeah, at least at that time. Yeah.
Well, let me clarify. My biggest issue is more so with the mixing. I think everything sounds great on the record. The drums, yeah, they have that big Rick Rubin sound. These are some of the driest vocals I've heard, but they work perfectly. Um, all the guitar tones are stellar. The clean ones, the distorted ones, the modulated ones. They all, acoustics sound really organic. So everything sounds amazing, but it's the mixing that kind of does it for me. Part of why I like Petty is for Mike Campbell's guitar parts. I love them. I learned so much from them. But there's just some times where they're really, really hard to hear. They're pretty quiet, buried. Um, there's one particular song where the drums become a little problematic for me. But I think now that I've heard the album a few times, digest it, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal now that I know the album. I know what to listen for. Um,
I
yeah.
mean, it's like it's just stark contrast from the two albums that preceded it. Full Moon Fever, his first solo album, and Into the Great Wide Open when he brought both produced by Jeff Lynne. So you're getting like a really contrast of styles between two producers.
Yeah, it
Right.
is almost like complete opposites for sure.
So because I know obviously Rico, this being your favorite of Petty's and stuff. Do you guys like this change of production with Rick Rubin?
I do. I much like. I will take Wildflowers and She's the One and Echo over Full Moon Fever any day of the week. I will say Full Moon Fever's dropped for me a little bit over the years just because I fatigue from listening to the singles so many times. But I will say Into the Great Wide Open has actually grown on me almost yearly. Like that one I used to think was one of my least favorite Heartbreakers album, and now it's actually it's gone up in the ranking. Um that said, and then of course you also have, I think, the one Jeff Lynne album that sounds nothing like the other two, which is Highway Companion. It has a little bit of that Jeff Lynne sound, but I always forget it's produced by him, to be honest. But yeah, I much prefer the Rick Rubin produced albums. I just like that sound better. And I mean, any Rick Rubin album I've ever heard, I've enjoyed. So I just don't know if I lean towards him as a producer. So, but yeah,
I mean, I would have preferred him producing Dark Matter, but that's a whole other
yeah.
time.
I mean, they were already at his studio, weren't they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's not what we're here for.
No, a whole other episode.
All right, so why don't we just go down the list of songs? I made pretty thorough notes about everything I liked, some thoughts I had, and I'm very excited to see you rate my opinions here and tell me where I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, don't worry. We'll tell you why your opinions are wrong.
All right, and I'm also very curious to hear which songs that you guys like, which ones the fans genuinely like or dislike, as well as also too if how many of these songs get played live. I am curious about that. I haven't watched too many live performances on YouTube for Petty, but I may have to. So, beginning with Wildflowers.
You belong among the wildflowers. You belong in a boat.
So, I have a feeling that this is a song that's really loved by the fan base. And I'm gonna be honest. I think it was right off the bat. I thought it was good, but I'm like, I know this is probably gonna be in the middle of the album for me for where I like it. The vocals at first, mainly like the first verse, a little grating. Wasn't ready for it. Um, but I do have to say though, I think it is a great like simple song. Like I'm starting to see the beauty in it. And I do think it is a good opener. Although I just wasn't expecting it like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a song where, so I listened to the album yesterday. I mean, I didn't need to listen to it any more times for this episode, but I might as well. I said, and I listened to it and I did something I almost never do when I just listen to music. I just closed my eyes and just listened to it. I wasn't doing anything else in the background.
Mhm.
And yeah, Wildflowers is always one that I've liked, but I don't think I've ever liked it as much as the general public typically does. But there's something about it. The song builds as it goes on. And I think that's what I really appreciate about the song. It starts off simple, but they add in the different instruments as the song goes on. I think the production is like perfect on that song. And then there's just little moments to me that makes it a Petty song. The bridge that happens twice in the song, those
Yeah.
quick chord changes. I think that like gives the song great dynamics.
I did write that down that this was, the first song on the album already that does like when I think of Petty, I think about quick chord changes. Like to me, that's a standout thing of his writing, and I think he is a king of that. So I do like that little B section.
Yeah, and I don't know if Chris agrees with me. I feel like this song has become more popular since his passing. For some reason, like I feel like this song has just become like one of his signature songs. And I mean, him and the Heartbreakers have so many hit songs like already. Like even just I mean, just off Full Moon Fever alone, like probably three of his biggest songs right there. But American Girl and Breakdown, Learning to Fly, like there's so many.
Yeah.
But and this wasn't a single, and yet it still charted um when it was released. But I don't know. I feel like since he's passed, like people use the song for a lot of things. Like they'll use it for like weddings, they'll use it for like memorial services. Like they use it for like a ton of different types of events because it's just a beautiful song. It's simple. A lot of artists have covered it. Eddie Vedder, he's done it a bunch. They just did a recent country tribute album to Tom Petty, and I think it was
Yeah.
covered by I don't remember who, but um, I like the song. It's not in my top three on the album, but I do think it's stellar.
I mean, I used it. I took a communications class. I had to take like one class just to finish my credits after graduation, and one of our assignments was like to write like a graduation speech, and I quoted the song in the speech. So definitely had a lot of love for it before he passed.
Do you remember the specific line that you quoted?
Uh, Hold on. It was like at least like a couple verses maybe I did. Just be like far away, go find a lover, and I forget.
I know my. Okay, good.
Yeah, like you belong among the wildflowers, belong uh mostly like those, yeah. Sail away, go off the shore, somewhere you feel free, like stuff like that.
I do really love the line, "You deserve the deepest of cover."
Yeah.
I think that is a very cool line.
Yeah, it's I do think it's a perfect album opener, but I wouldn't say it's my favorite Tom Petty album opener. Like I do think he's got more interesting album openers. I mean, hell, even Echo with Room at the Top.
Yeah.
But I do think it opens this album perfectly.
I mean that this album and the outtakes somewhere under heaven were like the first thing I listened to when he died. So it's like
Yeah.
somewhere under heaven, and then this, it's like that would like just sent me over.
Yeah,
Do
for
you
sure.
think The Waiting is a better opener from Hard Promises?
Oh,
The other one I
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah, that's
yes.
what I'm saying. Like Wildflowers is like still a perfect song for me, but I think he has better openers, and I think that's definitely one of them.
Right, right. Yeah, I was expecting something more like that. But what I wasn't expecting was it to be followed with "You Don't Know How It Feels."
To the point, let's roll another joint, turn the radio loud. I'm too alone to be proud, and you don't know how it feels.
I am gonna say some things. I have a lot of things to say about this song. All right,
Oh,
and
no.
you guys are gonna be a little upset, but
How do we mute Tony again on Zoom? How do we?
I think you guys will enjoy the conclusion here. So this song starts off with the loudest drums on the album. They sound huge. They do sound great until my ears get fatigued from them. But it starts off like a Weezer song.
A
It sounds
Weezer
straight
song.
like Weezer. Loud
Interesting.
drums, the back to forth chords, All right. I'm going to say it too. I hate that style of rock harmonica playing. It reminds me of like some of like the later Zeppelin stuff where they do the harmonica, and I don't dig that. I really don't. But what I do really enjoy, I love the vocal performance. He kind of has this like kind of mellowed out thing, kind of sings, kind of a little lower the whole time.
Yeah.
Which does contrast well with the drums. I like to kind of later on in the song they do that little guitar riff, boom, ba bum da dun dun.
Yeah.
Even though at first I was like, is this a little bit kind of shoehorned in? But I was like, no, I don't care. I like it. Tone's great. Solo, super simple, just a unison bend. But I'm for it. I'm digging it. He kills it. Yeah, and even though I do have, as you just heard, some problems with the song, I think it's still my top three from the album.
Oh wow.
I don't know if it's just the lyrics, I don't know if it's just the vocal performance, but I would say it's top 3 for me with all those complaints in mind.
See, I thought because I knew you were gonna like not like the drum sound. I thought this was gonna be one of your least favorites. And
Yeah,
because
me
too,
too, but
I knew you were gonna love the harmonica, and it's actually not. This is one too. I know this is my third favorite album of all time, and I'm already saying like these first two aren't like my favorites, but like this one being like the biggest single from the album, I never understood as much because I think there's much better songs on the album. But I get the appeal. I mean, I know people just love like just the title of the song, but like, let's get to the point. Let's roll another joint, which wasn't this the one where they had the radios had to like backmask the word joint, right?
Yeah.
Which is stupid.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This
even
one,
like another song to compare it to. The verses kind of like, do like the same chords as Teenage Dirtbag.
okay. I mean,
I just was not expecting this sound from Petty.
I don't
But
know where you're
I
getting
enjoy
these
it.
song comparisons from.
There is so
Yeah.
many things on this album that remind me of other things. So
I
get ready
mean,
for
this was like
the
recorded before the Blue album came out, so
right, right.
but he was
Yeah.
he was very much paying attention to what was going on anyway in rock at the
Uh-huh.
time.
Okay.
Yeah,
I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really interesting how this album, is not that far released after Full Moon Fever, and it sounds completely different. Like, which is why I'm glad he changed producers. If we would have done like a third in a row album with like Jeff Lynne, I just don't think it would have come anywhere close to this album.
Technically, he did 3 in a row with Jeff
Well,
Lynne.
the
Right.
Wilburys, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. That's true. What I did kind of relearn today was this was his first album with Warner Brothers,
Yeah.
but there was what did it say? It was his first album with Warner Brothers, but with the Wilburys, it was like um let's see, after signing a contract with Warner Brothers Records, where he had recorded as part of the Traveling Wilburys. Yeah, so it was, I don't know if it was through the Traveling Wilburys album where he decided to sign with Warner Brothers, but
All right, because of his label rejected Full Moon Fever, and he was like, and so then they were at dinner with, I think, Mo Austin of Warner Brothers. He was at dinner with George Harrison, and George told Tom, like, oh, play that for Mo, and like the guy couldn't believe Petty's label rejected it, so he secretly signed a contract with Warner Brothers to go into effect once his current contract was up.
yeah, and but didn't
thank
he
you,
leave?
George.
Didn't he leave Warner Brothers though eventually, or did he
No.
stay with them to the end? He stayed with them. Okay,
Yeah.
I couldn't remember. Yeah, and yeah, the whole Wilburys thing is like its own other story we can get into. But I don't know, Chris, is this one that you like? Because for me, like I said, I kind of put this near the bottom. Maybe again, it's just the fatigue of hearing it so many times on the radio. Because this one I do definitely remember hearing on the radio as
Oh
when we
yeah,
were
it's definitely a
kids.
radio staple. I mean, it's not on my top 50, which I brought.
Oh,
Holy shit.
okay. Well, after
Oh,
when we're done with that, once we finish through the songs, I want to hear how many of Wildflower songs made it on your top 50.
oh yeah,
But
for sure. That's why I brought it.
um,
I like it. It's a good start to the album, and sequencing wise, you could definitely make sense after Wildflowers, and then you got this song about just what was I gonna say? Like it works for me. It's fine. It's a good song, like especially if you're first learning how to play guitar. It's definitely one to teach someone.
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the song that they auditioned Steve Ferrone for the album, right? To be on the album and be a heartbreaker. Like,
Yeah, I believe so. And it's like I don't know, Tony, if you notice, there's not one cymbal hit at all in the song.
There's not one cymbal hit.
No.
I mean, I knew he was just playing simple steady. So,
Yeah.
but I have to go listen back as soon as we finish this.
Oh yeah, Steve Ferrone, that guy's a rock.
Wow.
But I do love the line. One of my favorite like Petty lines ever is People come, people go, some grow young, some grow cold. I woke up in between a memory and a dream,
And
which I
oh, I think you're gonna say the same thing I was gonna say.
it was either this song or um crawling back to like one of the verses was on the demo
I
of
think it's crawling back to you on the
yeah.
demo.
Oh.
He said, and well, there's two other songs on the album that also share similarities in the demos. We'll get to later when we get to
Yeah.
that song. But yeah, he was, and when you hear the demos of this album, he was workshopping some of the lyrics for sure. Which I think is always cool. I love hearing,
Oh, me too.
bands do that.
The seeds of a song.
Yeah. So I will say after this song, for me, the album just really gets good. Not that I don't dislike the first two, but this is an album where I think it gets better as the album progresses.
For me, especially like on once I listen to it a few times, it's at this point where we get to Time to Move On, where the album starts to feel kind of special, kind of like unique, its own thing. Not the other songs sound like generic or anything, even though I compared it to Weezer. But
Well, I mean,
but
give the
this is
Blue
where
album
I'm
some
like,
respect.
Oh,
I like the first two Weezer albums a lot. I think they're great. So it's not a slam on Mr. Petty here. So Time to Move On kind of took me off guard the first time I heard it.
It's time to move on. It's time to get going. What lies ahead, I have no way of knowing.
Because
You were not expecting
like
the drums,
my first
right?
thought is, well, yeah, that I wasn't expecting like what brushes on the song,
Mhm.
the fast thing going. I wasn't expecting like a real like 80s sounding synth over this, like kind of muffled, pokey picking on the guitar. Like it was kind of a, when you think about it, it's kind of a weird hybrid, at least to me.
There's some wah guitar going on too, I think.
Yeah, I do love
Yeah.
the guitar work in the song. And
It's subtle, but it's really cool. It is interesting. And it is so catchy. This one gets stuck in my head all the time. And it's just one of the ones where it just sounds good.
I may
Um,
sorry to cut you off. I may have used this one too in that graduation speech assignment.
I could see that. Yeah.
that checks out. I do really like the I think maybe it's the chorus, but under my feet, grass is growing.
Mm.
The way he uses that line, I really like. Honestly, I think my one complaint, and it's a bit of a nitpick. I wish that wah lead was a little louder. It's a little whisper quiet for me, but I understand not having a loud ass wah guitar in this song. That
Yeah, you
may
need
kind of
your
kill the vibe a little.
nuances. You need the
It's
nuances.
just subtle.
And
It's
yeah.
what Mike Campbell specializes in.
I just think Tony
True,
was a
and it's a
little.
reward if you pick it up.
Tony was like a little. What's the word? Like, when he heard Hard Promises, and he heard all the Mike Campbell leads, I think he was expecting that on this album, and it's not because we got to remember it's a solo Tom Petty album, even though you have the Heartbreakers on every song.
Okay, that is an important distinction. Thank you for clarifying that.
This is definitely top 5 on the album for
yeah.
me. Maybe top 3. This song is one of my favorites. I think it's just, I'm going to say perfect for every song. So I got to start coming up with other words, but like everything you mentioned about the song, I love. I love the unique drum sound. I love the wah guitar work. I love the synth. Actually, like yesterday when I was eyes closed listening to the song, I was like, that synth is kind of like the glue to the song. Sadly, one of the songs he didn't perform live a lot. Even though I think there is a live one on that live Wildflowers album. I'm pretty sure. I think he played it actually during one of their appearances on the Bridge School event.
Oh, maybe.
If I'm not mistaken. I don't know if that's the version they use. I'm pretty sure though it's on the live album.
Yeah, it is from 2002.
Yeah. Because they took performances not just from the Wildflowers tour, but from like any Tom Petty show from the 90s onwards. But
yeah,
it's a song that I don't think got played live enough. I love the lyrics. I love how catchy it is.
yeah.
But it's not catchy in an annoying way where after a couple listens you're like tired of it. Um, and at least for the last couple tours, this is the song that after Jason Isbell does a show, he plays this on the speakers as his crew is
Oh, cool. I like
taking
that.
everything off the stage. And when
Yeah.
I saw him live last summer, he was still using it. So it was
Oh,
pretty
that's good.
cool. Yeah, he loves Tom Petty. He's covered American Girl before, and I think a couple other Tom Petty
Oh
songs.
yeah, I've
But
seen that.
yeah, so
I,
I love the song.
I do think it's kind of interesting that as one of my favorites, it pretty much just has one section, like kind of during that kind of solo bit. I think there's a few different chord changes, but otherwise it's just kind of the same thing. But I think that's what the song needed. It didn't need really much more.
Yeah, because
But definitely one of my favorites.
you're not usually a fan of just like something that's repetitive.
I'm picky with it. I'm picky with it. I think it has to be an interesting texture.
Yeah.
I think it needs, and I think this is, also one of my favorite vocal performances on the record. He just sounds that kind of my favorite vocals on this album where he sounds kind of melancholy. There's something like it sounds like there's something bothering him.
And
Well, just because we didn't say
yeah,
it, this
maybe
is his divorce album, basically.
I had a feeling
yeah.
when I
So
heard "Crawling Back to You" and "Don't Fade on Me" and
basically,
"Hard on Me" and "Only a Broken Heart."
yeah, after this album and with Rick Rubin, they did "She's the One" soundtrack, which is a really confusing album because it was for the movie, but songs weren't all used in the movie. The movie tanked. That one, it was a weird release. But the third album with Rick Rubin, Echo, that's like the clear, like you listen to it and there's like maybe one or two happy songs, and all the songs are just super sad and
That's the after divorce. Yeah.
yeah. But a lot of people at the time didn't realize Wildflowers was like in the middle of the divorce, like the start of it.
Yeah,
And
because like the perception was like Echo was the divorce album, but like his daughter has said Wildflowers is the divorce album. Like when he played it for them, like that's when they realized like, oh shit, they're getting
yeah,
divorced.
because you listen to the lead singles, like "You Wreck Me," "You Know How It Feels," even like "Wildflowers," like the popular songs don't give off divorce vibes. But like
They're
Tony
subtle,
said,
yeah.
yeah, there's other songs on the album that are way more specifically about his divorce. So,
Mhm.
and that's another reason I love this album is because it has different emotions than you're expecting. You go into it thinking it's just going to be another Full Moon Fever, Damn the Torpedoes, but it's really not. It's completely different. So, yeah, we probably should have led with that, but I had a feeling you were going to catch on to it, Tony, and I'm sure I maybe mentioned it before in passing. So, I was kind of expecting you to kind of get the idea.
Right, right.
So now we move on to the album's, I would say, probably second biggest song, at least single wise for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to say for this one just because, it's one of those songs you hear it so much, you don't really have like you just kind of have set thoughts on it. You don't even have much of thoughts just because you've heard it so much. But I think it's good. I like it. I think the mix is great on that one. The lyrics are kind of whatever for me, but I do like "We Sail on a Radio" song.
Mhm.
Yeah, I really don't have much to say for this one. Sorry to disappoint you guys.
So, it's all right. It's only my number one Petty song, but all right.
What?
Wait, is it actually?
Yeah.
So I'm in the middle of you guys. I wouldn't say it's my favorite, but it's top 3 on the album for me. I love "You Wreck Me." It's one of the only Tom Petty songs I don't think I'll ever get tired of hearing. Like I've gotten tired of hearing "Running Down a Dream," "Free Falling," even like "Refugee," even "American Girl." Sometimes Tony and I play that one all the time whenever we play music together. So I do tire of it, but "You Wreck Me" I'll never get tired of that song. Like it always puts me in a good mood. It's got that great drumming drive drum beat to it.
Or Steve, play all the fast quarter notes.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
8 notes.
It's I like the lyrics a lot. I think it has some lines that are kind of just like standard lyrics, but like you mentioned earlier with the corduroy pants reference, like
Yep.
Yes, yes.
that's such a I don't know, that's something like even that one song on Pearl Jam's Gigaton album. Is it Never Destination? The bridge of that song to me sounds a lot like You Wreck Me, where he's like, she was a singer in a rock and
Yeah.
roll band. I'm like, that kind of gives me You Wreck Me vibes a little bit. So,
Yep.
I love the vocals. I love the, oh, yeah,
Oh,
the
it's so good.
pre-chorus. Like, yeah, but I'll let Chris talk more about it because I didn't know this was your number one.
I've told you, but it's all right.
There are things I misremembered. Because
I know.
I don't know. I swore there's like certain songs where I'm like, this isn't your favorite, right? And you're like, no, I love this song, and the other way around.
I mean, like, it's not to love about it. Like, it's fun to play on guitar. Simple enough. It's just like you said, that pre-chorus just sucks you in. It's just so good. So it was great to hear both times I saw him live. Open the encores with it.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I think that one just stayed in his sets probably forever, is my guess.
Yeah, I think this was like a live staple.
Yeah, and I know like when they were working on the album, we used to work on the song for a long time. It was originally called "You Rock Me," but he knew that was corny, and then I forgot how. I think somehow he came up, "You Wreck Me" instead, and that just made it better, and it does.
Yeah, You Rock Me would have been very, especially because they already has a song like Rocking Around with You and
Yeah,
My
and it
Baby's a
wouldn't
Rock and Roller.
have fit with the overall album content.
Yeah, I agree.
I will say, like, the opening is pretty hype on the song. Just like hearing the guitar chords, hearing the drums come in. Like, it's simple, but it really is hype.
It's one of the few rock songs on the album, and it's also a good driving song.
Yeah, and that was one of my first thoughts as it came on. I was like, I wonder if this is going to be like the heaviest the album gets, pretty much. I was like, is this the rock song on the album?
To me,
Um,
it's the fastest. I think there's one more that could be considered heavier just from like guitar tone wise, and we'll get to here pretty soon. But it's definitely, yeah, the fastest, the most high tempo song on the album.
Yeah,
And that's maybe the only thing. Like on a Heartbreakers record, there'd be at least two more of these type of songs. Where on this album, no, this is like the one really kind of fast song, and then the rest are kind of more slower paced.
and it was needed, like placement wise too, after the first three, which are slower, more mid tempos, and then this one just a nice kick in the ass.
Yeah.
well said.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites for sure. But it's a very, going from this sound to the next song is Good to Be King. You get quite a change in tone and just overall atmosphere.
The world would swing. Oh, if I were king.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, this one, I did know it, but kind of actually hearing it on the album was a little strange because I was like curious, is the album going to kind of change vibes? Is this album going in a different direction than I anticipated? And this is a hard one for me to kind of like dissect, take apart. I have a lot of feelings about it, thoughts. So for me, it's a song with very simple melodies. Even on the piano, the melody sounds a bit studential. But that being said, it all works. For the vocals, it fits the lyrics really well.
Hmm.
Even though I don't think he's pulling a you don't know how it feels. I like how he says it's good to be high.
Yeah.
Just the way he says it's good. Solo is nice. It's loud. It's got attitude. The fast picking between the unison bend he does,
Mhm.
the gradual bend. That's one of those moments I heard it and I'm like, I'm gonna steal that and use that later.
There you
Um,
go.
I really love the outro, the
Yeah.
repeating piano line
That's my favorite part
adds
of the song.
so much to the song. Like that took it from like, okay, this is like a good song to, oh, this is a powerful song now. Like that, moves me. And there is two comparisons I have for songs on this one.
Oh God, here we go.
So for the line where he says, "Can I help if I still dream time to what is it?
Still
Time to
dream from time to time. Yeah, I think that's right.
I accidentally wrote Time to Town. I don't know what I was
No,
doing.
yeah,
last
it's definitely time to time.
Um, it reminds me of Tonight, from the Smashing Pumpkins. The synchronized hits. Bum, bum.
I know that song, but it's not coming to me immediately. I can't say I'm the biggest Smashing Pumpkins fan.
I'm not, but I heard a cover of it from Panic at the Disco. Don't
Oh,
bully me,
God.
guys. And
Don't
then
worry,
the
I did
other
that
thing,
enough.
No comments.
Yeah.
and then Rico for Bare Naked Ladies comparison, the part where he says, "Yeah, the world would swing if I was king." I can't help but think about Never Do Anything, where he talks about being a king and people
Okay,
kiss
yeah,
his ring.
I can see that. Yeah. I just heard that song and album the other day, so that's funny you mention it.
And then one last thing, and then I'll shut up for this one, is on this album, I find multiple times there's pairs of songs that I would group together because they just feel kind of similar, like almost like he could have, especially hearing that it's a double album, it makes me think like, okay, well, these songs are close enough. Why didn't he just pick the better one? Um, but I don't think any of them are that bad in comparison where I'm upset that he put them both on.
Hmm.
But this one I always pair with Crawling Back to You because it just has that like moodier sound on the album. Like to me, those two vibes are similar to me.
I can see
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it has kind of more of the piano than some of the other songs on the album for sure.
Right.
Obviously besides like the closing track, but um, yeah, I mean,
You.
this song was one that had to grow on me. Like I think for the longest time, the song was like actually one of my least favorites. But over the years, it's really grown on me, and I think you kind of hit the nail on the head with like it's that outro really sells it for me. That piano is beautiful. The strings.
Yep.
I mean, eventually you're gonna want to probably watch the Wildflower documentary that came out a couple of years ago, where you can see them working with the strings in the studio, and it's really cool. I think that takes the song to the next level. Um, the chorus is very deceiving because I can play actually a lot of these songs on guitar and sing along to them. And singing the chorus of the song is actually kind of hard. Like not necessarily the note he hits, but the way he hits it and how long he holds the note out for. It's a little deceiving, but in a good way. Um, I think the lyrics are cool. Like they're kind of a little tongue in cheek,
Hmm.
but I feel like they could be very fitting even for today's times. Um,
Yep.
in a more negative way, maybe, you know,
Right.
if we get into like, politics and stuff like that. But yeah, and this one was definitely, I wasn't a live staple, but I think it was for this tour. I mean, the tour was called Dogs with Wings for the
Yeah.
Wildflowers tour. And I think it was like kind of the centerpiece for the shows because
Really?
live versions are like 8 minutes long, I think.
Oh, like more than like over 10 minutes.
Maybe 10. Yeah, they would
That
do
surprises me.
extended
Oh,
outros with
that outro.
guitars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Heady like solos.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
so
I
he
think they
did.
all take turns. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was one of the ones that he did when I saw him on his last tour.
Yeah. See, I don't think the one time I saw him, I don't think he played this one.
It was, yeah, like you guys, when I first heard him, like, all right, like the outro got me, but the song probably had ranked low for me. It wasn't until I heard the that live version on the live anthology
Yeah,
set.
that's a great one.
That's when I was like, oh shit, this song is like killer
Yeah.
live. And like grew to love the song
I'll definitely have to check out a live version after this.
for sure.
And I do think too, if I'm not mistaken here, I think this is a really good introduction to strings on the album. I know sometimes, no, I can't think of a specific record. You hear a record and then like in the middle or something, all of a sudden you get a bunch of strings on and it just sounds kind of out of place, and I feel like that kind of has like a kind of a cheesy effect or something, or
Mhm.
like they felt like they needed to put strings on. But this feels very organic to me, natural, and yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't think I don't think he had used strings before this album.
Yeah, I think there's some like fake strings on like Southern accents, maybe.
Oh, maybe, yeah, maybe there was like,
I don't know if they were real, if
oh,
they were, yeah, like keyboards, but yeah, I kind of compare the way they use strings on this album a little bit to Automatic for the People, where it's not on every song, it's just on a select few, but whenever they come in, they always hit perfectly.
Yeah.
Right. They like fill out the mix and they just kind of reinforce what's there.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
So
I think one more thing about the song, I either read it or heard somewhere that this was like the first song that he had written for the album.
oh,
Okay.
Oh,
Well,
I
I
knew
guess it
that.
makes more sense than why he kind of centered the tour around it.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's a good song. I definitely think it's actually a huge fan favorite, but it was not a favorite of mine for the longest time.
Hmm.
So, but I'm glad that you seem to like it off the more right away than Chris and I are. It took us a while, you know.
Yeah. Okay, more comparisons here for the next song. I cannot hear Only a Broken Heart without hearing Neil Young's version of Four Strong Winds.
Days before the hard times, but I'm not afraid.
It is difficult to separate those. Just like the guitar chords and the melody that goes over it.
Interesting.
That's immediately what I think about.
I
So
hear,
then
hear
you
more of a Beatles influence on this one than Neil, but I like that.
see, I was getting like kind of more Beach Boys vibes. So we're all coming at the song with different viewpoints. But I mean, we all like all those bands and artists that we just talked about. So I mean, that's good.
Right? It's not a complaint.
No.
And then kind of like the B section, kind of to me, a little bit kind of specific. It kind of sounds like something I would hear on like an Elliott Smith B side or unreleased thing, and that is a
I
compliment.
can see that. I can see that.
Kind of like the walk down guitar, kind of the melody he sings.
And it's very different than the other section of the song for sure.
Right. Immediately, I love Tom's vocal on it. It's just, it's kind of a unique tone to his voice, an interesting timbre. But I really like that, and I would like to hear more of him singing like that. You know, it's a real kind of soft vocal, and I think it pairs really well with like the brushes and was it a mellotron? Am I way out of pocket for that? There's some keys or something.
I got you. Hold on.
I'm
Am I
looking.
embarrassing myself here?
Because let's see, what number song is this? This is number 6.
6.
Yeah, Mellotron and Harmonium.
Oh,
Nice.
okay,
Nice.
okay.
Okay, because I like those moments on the album where those are in there. So okay, glad I was right on that one. Yeah, and I think to me some of the highlights here is just I think it's super impressive the flow of the song.
Hmm.
It's one of those songs where you almost don't know where you are in it. It just flows so effortlessly, and it kind of always feels like it's kind of moving, rotating, which is a cool achievement there. I like I can't remember top of my head, but I wrote down there's like a little simple 12-string acoustic solo. It sounded like near the end.
Yep.
Nice touch, kind of separates it from some of the other songs, and I really like the line. The end of the rainbow is always a long ride. That was a standout for me.
Good one. I think it's just like one song that kind of carried over to the Jeff Lynne sound in a way, just very heavy on the acoustic guitars
Okay.
and like layered.
Yeah, I can hear that. I've always really liked the song. I think this one's another kind of underrated song. I really love, like you mentioned, his vocals. It almost like, I don't know if it's the way it's mixed. It's really upfront, and it almost gives me vibes of like a double track vocal, but I'm pretty sure it's not. But it's just
I was
is
thinking
it double
that
track
too.
maybe?
I think it might be.
Could
'Cause
be.
it sure sounds like one.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
if it's not, then yeah, they did a really good job of making it sound like one. I really also love the acoustic guitar and the way it's strummed. It's kind of that constant strumming, but it's relaxed, but it's more like, I don't know, it's very distinctive the way he strums it. It's not just like a kind of up and down strum like Wildflowers. It's a little bit more intentional, and it really moves the song along for me. And it just has some really nice, like, you know, it goes from like the C to I think an A minor 7. And it's just those little like kind of walk down moments where it's like he's playing simple chords, but he's doing them in a distinctive way to get a certain sound that I think makes Petty stand out than other singer songwriters for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it just has a really nice chilled out vibe, but it has like kind of really sad lyrics.
Oh yeah.
I think my favorite lyric is "Wait for an answer, hold out forever."
Hmm.
Like that, just like ooh, that hits me.
Yeah, I think I missed that one in there because that one hit pretty hard right there.
Yeah, that's a good one. This one was not one I don't ever remember hearing a live performance of. I'm gonna look it up here, like while Chris talks about his feelings on the song.
I mean, I kind of said it. Or it just had like the Beatles feel to it. I love just that acoustic sound to it. Yeah, I mean, you could definitely tell like he's showing like probably one of the songs that he's showing his vulnerable side the most, especially in like that, I guess, hook, we could say. What would I give to start all over again to clean up my mistakes? Clearly, he's very much like hinting. It's probably as much as he would say about his first marriage and their problems, and he would like to give on.
Yeah, and it does not look like he's ever performed this one live. I know for sure it's not on the live Wildflowers album or
definitely
the
not.
live anthology. So it's one of those songs where I think it's probably very personal lyrically, where it maybe just was hard to perform live.
Yeah,
Although there's other songs on this album I think that are equally as raw, and definitely songs on Echo that are even more raw that
yeah,
he performed live. But yeah, this is one of those songs where it's a little on the outside, it's just kind of a cool, slower moment that can give you Beach Boys vibes or Neil Young vibes or Beatles vibes, but then lyrically it is kind of very raw and personal.
oh yeah,
So
Yeah, it's
definitely
kind
like.
of a. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say more like reminiscent of like either John Lennon's like Plastic Ono Band or Dylan's Blood on the Tracks.
Records I have not heard, but I could kind of see where you're going. Yeah, I will say the song kind of initially it seemed a little underwhelming, but it's easy to get lost into it in a good way.
It just fits the whole um album is how I look at it.
Right.
but you know what's not underwhelming is the next song, Honeybee.
Now, let me start off. I did know this one before, so I knew what I was getting myself into. But Rico had said something that kind of shocked me. He said, as a Petty fan, you either love it or you hate it.
I have
Ooh.
seen some people with some hot takes online saying like, "Oh, Honeybee is one of my least favorite Petty songs." They compared it to songs like Spike and Night Watchman, which I don't put any of those songs in the same category. I know Spike is one of Chris's maybe least favorite Petty songs.
And you
Um,
don't really care for Night Watchman either, do you?
It has parts of it.
I love Night Watchman way more than Spike, but I don't dislike Spike. I actually think Spike's a fun song. But yeah, I've seen some people say they don't like Honeybee, and I don't know if it's because of the lyrics or just kind of its tongue in cheek nature with like the music. But yeah,
Fun song.
I think it's more liked than disliked. But there's definitely some fans who dislike Honeybee, believe it or not.
So for me, this song, like kind of first hearing it, for the first time in a while, actually sitting down listening, I had the same reaction when I first heard I Should Have Known It. It's like, this song is awesome. This
It
is so
is.
cool. So, and I Should
Literally.
Have Known It is one of my favorites for sure. So,
And Tony will like this. It's Mr. Carl Wilson on background vocals.
on this one,
Yep.
what? Did I miss that?
It's
What?
like very subtle, but like
I read it last night when I was doing some research, and I was like, I don't remember him on this song either. So
yeah, like, it's very
don't feel too
subtle.
bad.
I
I
will say this though, that bridge, it sounds like something that a '70s Carl Wilson would do.
That's
Like,
That's where you could hear him,
Okay, because
especially on like I think the newer when they did the
Oh, the
all the
remaster
rest,
record.
like the little
Yeah.
remix, you could hear that I think might have been Tom who probably told them to like boost Carl up a little bit.
Because I know they
Okay.
did that for sure and Hung Up and Overdue, which was the
Yeah.
other song that you could really hear him on.
Yeah, for sure. I think those are the only two songs anyway.
Yeah, I think those are the only two.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of jotted down some notes. I can tell I was excited when I wrote them down because they're just kind of just a bunch of bulleted points, not really
Yep.
refined.
No.
So let me just crank through this list. Everything I really like here. I love the little intro talking, little honey, natural bee,
Yes.
It's so weird, but it's like perfect Tom.
and then that big distorted tone comes in with like an old school kind of fuzzy sound to it.
Yes.
So I was like right on. Something that I didn't think I would like so much is the piano playing in the song. It's pushed back in the mix, which I think is great. It keeps it from feeling kind of like some like kind of bluesy band, but it really does reinforce everything. I saw there was a cowbell in there. I heard, but it was subtle, so I was surprised I caught it. But
Ooh,
I'll have to
I'll
go
have
back
to
and
check
listen.
out where.
me too.
In that kind of Carl Wilson section, or I guess it is the Carl Wilson section.
Yeah.
The octaves on the bass was cool because I think maybe on this album I didn't pick up a lot of the bass lines in particular, but I was like, okay, cool, we're getting some action there. I don't even really care what Tom is singing about in this song because I just it just sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's
But
just him having fun with words.
I did catch on the "She Kissed My Third Cousin Twice." No comment. I think the first solo I had written down that it was kind of insultingly quiet just because I really wanted to hear that. But the last solo definitely cuts through in the mix. So no problem there. Mike is an unsung hero. And one last thing, and then I want to hear your guys' thoughts, is some of the vocal ad-libs don't directly sound like it, but if I had to compare it to something, I was kind of picking up on like LaGrange from ZZ Top, kind of that lower croaking
Mhm.
voice, which is really fun.
Like when he
This-
sings like Buzz a While.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really like the song. I think it's fun. I think it really adds a lot to the album.
Yeah, this one's always been a favorite of mine. It's like I don't see a world where someone listens to this song and not have fun with it.
Right.
I mean, assuming that this person likes rock music. You can not like rock music and I guess hate this song, but yeah, this one is just fun. It's like rocking, but has still that kind of laid back beat to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you kind of have to have that stink face look when you're listening to it. The lyrics are just super funny, and they're so kind of like random. She gave me her monkey hand and a Rambler
Yes.
sedan. I'm the king of Milwaukee. Like what? But like that's you're gonna get a couple Tom Petty songs on every Tom Petty album where they're kind of random like that, and they're just funny and they work.
Oh yeah.
Um,
It's a song basically. I think he's like I said, admitting in an affair, like and he was the narrator's cheating on someone, but he's just having fun with the words, like you said, like you mentioned. Yeah, this is like one of the two songs that Dave Grohl played with them on Saturday Night Live.
Yes, I knew you were gonna mention that. Yeah,
Just in,
it's
You Don't Know How It Feels.
yeah, because
great-
Tony, if you don't know, when they were looking for a drummer to replace Stan, they asked Dave Grohl, and Dave's like, "Oh man, I love to because I love the Heartbreakers, but you know, I kind of want to put out this album I've been working on, and yeah, so we eventually got the Foo Fighters, so I can't blame him for not joining the Heartbreakers."
I do remember you mentioning that to me, and I love scenarios like that. Like, could you imagine the alternate reality
Yeah.
of Dave
Yeah.
Grohl being the Foo Fighters, not being the Foo Fighters, but being a drummer for Petty? Like, that is a fun thought to
Can you
entertain.
imagine if like somehow we got Everlong, but as a Tom Petty song?
The most over the top drums on it.
It's funny, like if you see the performance of this on Saturday Night Live, like once Dave like comes in, like you just see Mike Campbell like, holy shit, like and just like he has like this huge grin on his face, like that was amazing.
This is
Yeah.
a must watch for me. I will
Oh, yeah.
100% be watching.
It was for a while hard to find on the internet. I don't know if they have it back on their official YouTube page, but I remember for a while a lot of older performances on SNL were hard to find online.
Huh.
I'm hoping we can find it for you because it is a very fun watch. I don't know if I've
Yeah.
ever seen the You Don't Know How It Feels. I'll have to watch that one if I can
I
find
may
it.
have watched it. I may have seen it once or twice.
Honeybee definitely fits Dave better. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
believe after Petty passed away, they did Honeybee during Foo Fighter shows, if I'm not mistaken. I think like with the
Maybe. I know
whole
they've done Breakdown.
yeah, but I think they did Honeybee too, like before Taylor passed away. I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does have it just has that feel of something Dave would play on.
Yeah, and they talked about it too on the Running Down a Dream documentary.
Yes, which Tony, once you get a couple more Petty albums under your belt, Tony, that's a must watch for sure.
Noted.
It's
Noted.
long as hell, but it's a must watch.
So worth it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you love Honeybee. There's definitely some other great live versions of it too you can listen to.
And not a surprise that I love it. I mean,
I was like I said, I was like he's either gonna love the song or he's gonna think it's weird and or corny maybe and not like it. So, now I'm looking at the track listing. It is kind of weird that it's sandwiched in between two of the more kind of personal songs on the album. Because before you have Only a Broken Heart, and then following Honeybee, you have Don't Fade on Me, which is kind of a darker song, a slower song, an acoustic song. So I'm
Yeah.
curious if that was kind of too big of a contrast for you.
no, I literally wrote in my notes that having Don't Fade on Me follow Honeybee is fantastic. If you were to take out Honeybee, I think I would have got a little bit lost in this album. And it's not because I'm against like kind of like sad albums or like
Mhm.
quieter songs. I mean, I love Elliott Smith. But I just think it maybe would have been, I don't know, it helps separate the songs a bit.
Yeah, it definitely added levity to that album instead of having the two downers in a row.
Right. And I had mentioned earlier like, oh, You Don't Know How It Feels is one of my favorite Tom vocals, but as I'm going down, all my notes are like great vocal from Tom. So Don't Fade on Me. I'm slowly being taken over by Tom Pettyitis. So I
The great thing.
do love the vocal performance on Don't Fade on Me.
I remember you so clearly, the first one through the door.
Some of the inflections I'm a little iffy on, but that's a nitpick. This is one of the songs where it really speaks for itself, I think. You get this cool acoustic guitar part throughout with the great playing on it. Chris, do you think that is Petty or just Mike Campbell doing it? Rico could not confirm for me.
Might be both of them.
You think
But
so?
it
Okay.
sounds like- yeah, it's both of them. I'm gonna guess.
Yeah, because I mean they're both credited for acoustic guitar, I think, on the song. So I don't know if it's
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay,
We
right on
might
then.
one day because Mike Campbell's been doing a lot of Instagram posts where he will talk about a Petty song and then actually like perform it like a cover where he
Oh.
sings it. So
Mhm.
down the road, maybe he'll eventually do Don't Fade on Me and he'll give us some background on who wrote it. I mean, obviously Tom wrote it, but like because we gotta remember too, there's a whole disc of the demos, and this is one of the demos. And I
Oh,
think
was it?
only Petty played on the demos because the demo of this song featured different lyrics and a different melody. Where instead of doing the Don't Fade on Me part during the chorus, he would do Don't Fade on Me, and he'd go higher up in the melody. And it's completely different than the album version.
That's kind of a hard vibe to imagine.
It's kind of more of a haunting feel than the I mean the original is very haunting too, but it's a little bit more mournful, I would say, in the tone.
Okay.
And because lyrically, the demo version gives me more vibes of maybe the song. I don't know if it. I mean, okay, we know during Echo, their bassist Howie, he was battling a drug addiction and eventually died from that. And in the demo version of Don't Fade on Me, there's a lyric where he's like, a young girl meets the bassist, and he makes it seem like in the song, the girl's the one that causes trouble for this bass player character in the song. Which to me was like, oh, did he write the song about Howie? Maybe Howie was already having, his drug addictions during this time. So I
Right.
think
Oh,
the lyrics, I think he changed it to maybe was to make it seem a little bit more
Universal.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, not as specific. So
I mean, I was looking at it quick. It says that just the two of them recorded it. Took more than 100 takes to get the song just right. Like,
Holy shit.
yeah, Mike said he remembers it being a hard one. Rick Rubin also said he remembered it being difficult to record. He said like the only time he ever saw Mike look frustrated playing. Basically, let me see if I read it quick. Mike says, I remember the hard one. It's a drop D tuning where it's finger picking and modal sounding. Had the piece of music, and Rick Rubin kept saying we should do something with that because it reminded him Crosby, Stills, and Nash, who we both liked. So I put the chords together and gave it to Tom on a rough demo, and he wrote the words. We kept trying to record it, but it took us a long time just to get the right lilt to the rhythm because the words were so important. It's my favorite song on the album. So I'm
Wow.
and
guessing,
it's one of only two songs where Mike Campbell is credited as a writer on the song. The other being
oh,
"You
okay,
Wreck Me,"
that makes sense. So,
which now that I'm thinking about it, I think Mike was the one that suggested Tom change the lyric to "You Wreck Me," not "You Rock Me." I was gonna say that earlier, and then I didn't. But then now that I'm looking at the credits, I'm wondering if that's why maybe he was credited for "You Wreck Me." Because
well, he
that
definitely wrote the. I remember one of his Instagram posts was "You Wreck Me," and so he definitely had the music to it.
to it, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so Rico had shared with me the other day that Steve Albini had kind of shit talk Steely Dan in like a post or
Sounds
something.
about right.
And one of the critiques was like them being in a studio, basically, at least I interpret it, maybe it was said explicitly, like wasting people's time, spending all these hours working on a song trying to get it right.
Oh
And
yeah,
then you
then
hear someone like Petty kind of doing the same, 100 takes on a song. I mean, it's kind of crazy. It goes to show that like perfection can kind of be achieved, but sometimes it takes work. I
right.
mean, same with Beach Boys, as you know, as well.
Yep.
Um, I just did not expect Petty to be so headstrong about that. Although actually, I shouldn't be surprised because I remember you guys mentioning Night Watchman had like a ridiculous amount of takes for the drums. Um,
Or I think it was
oh,
Refugee.
Oh yeah, Refugee.
oh,
Oh yeah.
Refugee. My bad.
That one has like, yeah, I mean, to the point where like I think
Mike
like
left like a couple days just to get away.
yeah.
Wow.
And that was the album too
And the Torpedoes, yeah.
where I can't think of his name, the producer.
Jimmy Iovine.
He was relentless on Stan with the drums, the drum sound.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where like I think Stan almost left the band right then and there. Uh, but I don't know. It's well, and I want to take everything that Rick Rubin says with a grain of salt because I don't imagine Rick doing all that in a studio. I imagine him in a studio in a yoga pose with his eyes closed, like. So I really don't. I don't know. I've heard different people their takes on Rick Rubin, even musicians' takes, but
He's definitely more like, I'd say, producer of like song structure and arrangement than like technical stuff because he doesn't obviously play an instrument because he started
mhm,
as a hip hop producer. So he's definitely more like, I think this part should go here instead
yeah.
of like giving like musical suggestions of like chords and stuff.
No, that
Yeah.
checks out.
Hmm.
That and he has some weird like album takes. Like I think like on the Chili Peppers, one of their new albums, he wanted the album to be called "She's a Lover," and Anthony Kiedis was like, "That's weird. Let's name it after a lyric from the song instead." So, but getting back to "Don't Fade on Me," it's one of my favorites. I love the song. I really like. I do definitely want you to hear the demo version, Tony, because I do think the demo version is almost an entirely different song with the different parts.
Hmm.
But you gotta love that little riff after the chorus. That
Yeah.
little the
The little
having and
fill in
drop
there.
that drop D really makes world of difference. So
And I just like the whole sequencing the loudest song on the album with the quietest song on the
mhm,
album back to back.
yeah.
Yeah, it really does give a spotlight to "Don't Fade on Me."
Mhm.
Yeah. And another one that I don't think they ever did live and definitely was not on the Wildflowers live album. So
Oh no.
Again, I think another just maybe too personal song for him to play live.
For sure.
So now we get to the shortest song on the album. Or no, not the
Right?
shortest
No.
song. No, I'm sorry. I
No.
skipped one. I skipped one.
Skipping couple songs.
Um,
Hard on Me.
Hard on Me. Yeah, I was looking at Kevin down below. Hard on Me. Hard on Me. I'm very interested in what you thought of it, Tony, because if I'm being honest, this is my least favorite on the album.
Be understanding. You were supposed to be the friend that I need.
It's also my least favorite.
Chris, do we got an agreement here? Is it your least favorite too?
Is it on your top 50 list?
Oh no.
Okay, good.
That would have shocked me.
A mid for me.
Okay.
Mid. Okay. I will say this. Whenever we do these podcasts here, I always pull the album up on Spotify alongside my notes in case I need to reference anything. This was the only song that I actually had to click on to remind myself how it went. To me, I think it's just the most forgettable on the album. There's not a lot of like standout moments or qualities. At first I did kind of group it with Only a Broken Heart, and then I'm like, nah, not Only a Broken Heart's up a few notches for me.
It's significantly better, yeah.
So I will say the one significant thing though for me is that bass sounds huge. It just sounds so deep when it comes in at the start. Like I remember like when we first listened to it.
Yeah, didn't you like think it was that he was playing like a different type of bass?
5-string or something. I was like, it sounds so fat. I had to go over to my guitar and like strum the note just to see. So, yeah, it is more straightforward, which I think maybe the album might need, but I don't know. The album's already pretty straightforward, so I don't really have a lot of thoughts on it. I think it is cool though that there's just like this crunchy chord picking kind of throughout. It is nice to listen to. I do like the bridge of the song.
Feel to that.
Oh, what?
It's got like a Neil Young feel to that kind of playing that you mentioned.
Yeah, kind of just jammy. But yeah, I do like the bridge in the song where he says like baby. And I do like the hook on me. Like it is a nice little hook to have in the song. Yeah, I'm just rambling. I don't have too much to say. I don't think it's bad by any means, but not every song needs to be 10 out of 10 on an album.
Right.
Yeah, it's I like it. I don't think it's not grown on me ever since I heard it for the very first time. I never disliked it, but it's never once like come on and then I go, wow, I totally understand the song now. Like I still feel the same way I do about it. You know, it
works in the context of the whole album.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think it's one that was played live at all. And if so, maybe only a couple times. It's kind of a mid-tempo song too, where it doesn't have the beauty of a Wildflowers and it doesn't have the rockness of a Honeybee. It has some cool textures for sure. I do like the bass work on it, but it is definitely an album track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's if this is like if this is the worst song on an album, I think you got a pretty damn good album.
Yeah.
Well said.
This is not a filler song. It's just a good song. It's not an amazing song. Now I do think, am I wrong? Cabin Down Below is the shortest, right?
It appears so, yeah. 2:51.
Yeah, the only song under 3 minutes.
Okay, I thought To Find a Friend was, but all right.
Which one?
I thought To Find a Friend was, but maybe it was Cabin Down Below.
Yeah, no, To Find a Friend is, it's a little longer.
3:23.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
Yeah. I have a feeling, Tony, this one is a little too corny for you.
Come on, go with me, babe. Come on, go with me, girl. Baby, let's go to the cabin down below.
Nah, I love this one.
Oh, really?
It's just so fun. I love the way he sings it right off the bat.
Yeah.
It's a little goofy, but just the right amount. He sounds good doing it still. It's a nice, simple, just kind of guitar riff with the chords. It's bluesy, but I like that it doesn't like just follow like a 12-bar blues. Then that would have been too cheesy. I do like that the vocals are like harmonized like the whole time through. I didn't even really realize it at first because it's done real subtle. but I think that was a cool touch. Um, the guitar, I don't know if it actually is. I know it is probably double tracked, but it almost kind of sounds like a 12 string. It's got so much jangle to it. It's a
I'm sure.
pretty cool tone. Um, there's also a moment in the solo where Mike like just starts tremolo picking like a low note, and it's
Oh
like that
yeah,
was
I
so
know.
cool.
I know what part you're talking
Like
about. Yeah.
it just took me off guard, and I'm like, that is awesome. And it's like going against the piano as well. Um, yeah, I think it is a fun song after Hard on Me. Um, or no wait,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes, after Hard on Me. Um, yeah, and I do like that in like that main section when they switch to what sounds like a ninth chord dominant, like it adds a cool flavor to the album.
Hmm.
I'm gonna nod my head and pretend I know what you're talking about.
There we go. Good. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I,
I'm curious where you guys rank this on the album. I'd say top half for sure.
see. I don't think I'd say that. I like the song. It's fun, but it's not as fun to me as a Honeybee or a You Wreck Me.
Yeah, it's got a
I
cool riff though.
It's a cool riff, and I think that the length of the song is perfect. I think if it was any longer, I would maybe think it's a little repetitive or a little too much of the same. There is a kind of a cool acoustic version that I think is on the Finding Wildflowers
Yeah.
alternative track list, which is also a kind of an acoustic version of You Wreck Me too,
Yep.
which is kind of cool. It does fit the vibe of the album, you know.
It's a fun song.
Yeah, this one feels more like a heartbreaker song to me more than maybe any other song on the album. It kind of has with the guitars and just it also to me it has the most kind of that southern rock sound.
Hmm.
So,
Maybe me saying for sure top half of the album is a little strong, but I will say this: I do tend to really enjoy, well, I mean, on Harder Promises at least, I really enjoyed kind of the quicker, kind of upbeat rock songs a lot. Like I really liked King's Road, for example. Like it's fun, it's to the point, but it just sounds so good. Maybe especially with next to all the other songs on the record. So once again, it is kind of interesting that it does follow Hard on Me. It's kind of like two of the, once again, not filler songs, but the two of the more, I don't know.
I know what you're saying. Yeah,
You know what I'm
Yeah.
going for.
yeah. You go from two kind of more slower tempo songs that don't fit on me, and then Hard on Me, and then you get the more upbeat Cabin
Yeah.
Down Below, and then it's followed by another kind of more slower acoustic song. So the album does kind of have a pattern a little bit here in this midway point where it's kind of going back and forth. And to me, that keeps the album exciting, right? Like
And I do think to myself when I hear it, like I'm not really anymore, but when I was like getting down the flow of the album, how are they gonna take it out of this? Because yeah, it is like the pattern kind of emerges. I'm like, okay, but where do we go here? We still have 5 more songs.
yeah. And I do think the last like 5 songs flow perfectly. Like I do think these last 5 might be my favorite sequence of the album, if I'm being honest. They might
For
not
sure.
contain all my favorite songs on the album, but the way it flows, I think is pretty spot on.
Especially the final 3 for me.
Yeah, the final 3. But so I'm guessing because I want to say Chris and I have had this conversation before. To Find a Friend, Chris, was never a favorite of yours, right?
Days went by like paper in the wind. Everything changed, then changed again. It's hard to find a friend.
I think for me, it's just it resembles Wildflowers. Like it's the similarities like very strong. Where it's like I prefer obviously Wildflowers, but To Find a Friend does have Ringo on it, so
Oh, does it?
yeah.
Okay.
Which I think
think-
also isn't he on the alternative take of Wildflowers? Or am I getting that wrong?
He might have been.
He's on one other song, but I don't think it's a Wildflower. I think it's a or the Finding Wildflowers.
Yeah, I just saw it too. Yeah. Wildflowers he was on.
Yeah, the
The
alternative
alternative.
version. Yeah,
I think on the demos it was either
it's It's
Wildflowers or To Find a Friend. You can hear.
it's Wildflowers. He's playing Wildflowers, and near the end he goes,
Yeah, because you can hear like To Find a Friend.
he's humming the chorus melody of To Find a Friend. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and on the Wildflowers demo, he also sings the lyric from Crawling Back to You that I'm so tired of being tired. Or no, that's
Oh,
actually on the
you don't know how it
you know how it
feels.
feels. Yeah. Yeah.
No, might have been a
Yeah.
different one.
No,
Most
I think it's that one. I think
most things I worry about, I
never,
believe.
yeah, it never happened anyway. Yeah. So, but yeah,
But
no,
yeah, To Find a Friend.
Find a Friend. I do agree, and I think Tony and I, when we first listened to this together a couple weeks ago, Tony was kind of like, "Oh, is this Wildflowers again?" So
Right?
the resemblance is definitely there. I have a special place in my heart for the song because when I saw Tom Petty the first and only time live for his Hypnotic Eye tour, they did the song in Seattle, they played at the Gorge, but in
Ooh,
Washington. And as far as deep cuts go, this is one of those. I mean, I think he's only done the song less than 30 times, if I recall the stats I read online. So
probably.
it's not a song that they've done a whole lot. I do think there is a version on the Wildflowers live album, and
Yeah, I guess so.
it's not the one that I saw. It was not the Gorge version, but
From like 2000.
yeah, exactly.
Oh, Bridge School. Okay.
Yeah, that was the British School one. I knew there was a British School one on the album. So I've always had a special place in my heart for this song because it was like the one deep cut Petty song I heard. Like, because didn't you see Crawling Back to You the second time?
Oh yeah, I got 5 from the album.
Yeah, and so I was really jealous. But so my one like little brag is like, oh, wow, I got to see this deep cut from Wildflowers. Yeah, but yeah, I didn't get to see. Um, it's Good to Be King. I didn't get to see Crawling Back to You. I
Wildflowers.
don't think he did Wildflowers either when I saw him. So
Didn't he do A Woman in Love when you saw him?
no, that was the other one that you saw that I didn't. Yeah,
No,
because
I didn't.
oh, you didn't? Oh, I didn't get to hear it either. I thought you did
Okay.
because I think because the second time you saw him was like was that the anniversary tour?
Yeah, I saw his last 2 tours. Hypnotic
Yeah.
Eye.
Yeah, see, I only saw the Hypnotic Eye one, and I always still beat myself that I didn't get to see him one last time. So, but To Find a Friend, Tony, is this one that do you feel similar to Chris that this is kind of too much similar to the title track?
Yeah, it is. To Find a Friend is Wildflowers Jr. And when I say that, I also mean that between like the simple rhymes
Mhm.
and like I don't know what it is, but there's like the percussion in the beginning, like the bell-like sound.
Oh, it's something weird. Yeah.
It makes it sound like a little kid song, like a little baby toddler song. Like it's all happy sounding, it's engaging, it's got the easy to follow walk down later on. Um I don't know if that's a hot take, but that's what I get. I will say I do like the lyrics though. Like the rhyme scheme is so simple, but I think it does tell a good story. I do
Oh yeah.
like, ran off to be bad. Everything changed and then changed again. Simple but works.
And it could kind of be again, it's a song at the time people didn't realize like maybe he's writing a song about his own divorce, you know?
And it's very explicit. And the days went by like paper in the wind, everything
Mm,
changed, then changed again.
yeah.
Paper in the wind, divorce papers.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That definitely adds to the song now for my
And there's
experience.
definitely character like he's definitely writing about characters in the song too, because it's like, I don't think maybe he went out and bought a new car or whatever. It's possible, but
Someone
know,
probably you could say having a midlife crisis.
exactly, yeah. Yeah, this is like the perfect midlife crisis song.
Went under another name when he visits the bar.
Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I did like that part. And I do like the chorus. Once again, those fast petty changes. I will say when that old-timey piano comes in, I'm just
I like
like, bro, what are you doing? Get out of here. Get out of
No,
here.
that's the best part of the song.
Yes, it's
That's classic Benmont right there.
What that it just kind of reinforces the baby in this song for me.
You just called it old timey. Old timey is not a baby's lullaby.
Well, yeah, it's like that fun little piano, like you could like, sing along with it almost. I mean, you can't really sing the part, but you know what I mean though.
yeah.
Follow along with it.
Okay, that's maybe the most I've disagreed with you on this episode so far.
And that's not to say I dislike the song, but it's one of the lower ones for me for sure.
It's not
Um,
top for me, but it's like I like this one more than Cabin Down Below. I like it more than Hard on Me. Uh, and there's days where I kind of prefer it over Wildflowers just because I love the storytelling aspect of the song.
the
Mhm.
story really does save it. If the
Yeah.
lyrics didn't hit at all, then this would maybe be
And I've
bottom.
always thought the the melody of the chorus is super catchy.
Mhm.
I love the little walk down kind of bits. So, but
Yeah.
I could see it's a song where it's like take it or leave it for some people. I can see that. I'm really curious. Okay, because oh no, that was House in the Woods. Higher Place. A Higher Place is next. An interesting song. I'm curious, Tony. I have no idea if this is one you'd like or not.
On the waterline, trying to keep my sense of humor. But if we don't get to a higher place and find somebody who can help somebody.
Well, first off, why do you say an interesting song? What do you mean when you say that?
Because it's kind of the last like really upbeat song you get on the album, tempo wise. Crawling Back to You definitely has a kind of driving feel to it, but this is like the last really upbeat fast song on the album. It's kind of
Yeah.
the last type, like the last You Wreck Me or Cabin Down Below song on the album.
Mhm.
But I think it has really kind of callbacks to certain bands like the Birds. It has more of
I
that
see that.
jangle pop rock sound.
Oh yeah, for sure. That definite 60s vibe.
And when they did their alternative Wildflowers album, when this all came out a couple years ago, this was actually the album opener, if I recall.
Oh,
Mm.
I think. And that version has a different drummer. Chris and I were talking about before the episode. I forget who
Yeah.
the drummer was, but it was
I
not
gotcha,
Stan
yep.
or Steve,
Kenny Aronoff,
who I have no idea who
legendary
that
drummer.
is. But...
John Mellencamp. He's done like a
Oh,
bunch of
okay.
films.
Yeah,
Little
so
guy. You've probably seen his picture.
I probably have. I
Oh
probably
yeah.
have. But
So-
I'm just curious what you think of it because I could see you either loving it or I could see you just kind of like, it's just kind of a mid track for me.
so on first listen, I was like, this is gonna be my favorite off the album.
Oh,
I love this song.
and now you hate it.
No, I think it's great. If I had to compare it to another Petty song I know, it reminds me of Something in the Air, which makes sense, like that 60 sound.
Well, do you know who does Something in the Air? Because it's not a Petty song.
It's doesn't Pete Townsend, didn't he write it for
He
that
wrote
guy?
it.
I forget who actually played it though.
Underclap Newman.
Yes, that is right. Yeah, and I think that song's great. So I also think this one's great. There are a lot of things I like about it. I think the placement on the album's great. It does feel like one of those songs that kind of signal that you're going to the end of the album.
Mhm.
The jingliness of the guitars is great. And now that you mentioned the Birds, that
The
kind of
Rickenbacker,
skipping
yep.
ahead.
Mhm.
Yeah, and the outro where he's doing all like that fast picking and hammer-ons
Yeah.
makes me think of those Birds parts. Also too, the intro fill, I cannot figure out what it is, but it reminds me exactly of another song. And I had racked my brain over and over, and then I thought to myself, maybe it's like a Rick Rubin, thing he produced. It's not quite Give It Away though, but I will try to figure it out. The vocals, they sound real feathery, but in a good way. I also think some of the sections are a little less predictable. I think most of the songs on the album, he goes to a bridge or something or a new part, and I'm like, that sounds like Petty. This song took some unexpected turns for me. What else? Also another Bare Naked Ladies comparison here. The post-chorus of the song, chord-wise, reminds me of the pre-chorus of Alternative Girlfriend, the part where he says "young and being old." I
What-
think it's like the same chord progression.
What part of this song does that remind you of? You said the post
It's
chorus?
like the post-chorus. I think that's what I labeled it.
the.
Any more or
Oh, okay. Yeah. I can hear that. I can hear that now.
So, yeah, I mean, I think this is one of those songs you just listen to and you're like, damn, this is good. It just feels refreshing. It's not like super heavy, but it's got the pace.
Yeah, good tempo to it. I think my favorite thing about the song is I think the string section is playing and then it like goes into the guitar
Yes.
solo.
Right after, I think, the bridge of the song. Yeah.
Believe so. Yeah, like yeah.
The weather. And then, yeah. Yeah, I was going to mention that too. The strings on this song, you're not expecting them, and they hit hard.
Yeah, like we mentioned earlier, like they're used sparingly
Yeah.
but perfectly. Like
I really also love the song from the lyrical aspect of it as well. He's like singing about, I don't know what, like some type of like flooding from like some type of storm. And he's like, we need to get to a higher place, which also kind of reminds me of um, the kind of goofy song from the second Traveling Wilburys album, Cool Dry Place,
no.
which Petty also sings. Um, but yeah, I really like, you know, the lyrics just really fit the vibe of the music for me, like this very kind of happy, upbeat vibe. But lyrically, it's kind of more like I don't know, it's got like this, what's the right word? Urgency to it
Definitely.
that is you don't expect on a first listen. I think the more you listen to it, the more the lyrics really fit with the music. It's always been one of my favorites. Don't know if I'd say top 5 favorite, but it's up there. I do really like it.
And when I did like look at the lyrics, I just revisited them too right here. I always like thought the lyrics were gonna be more about like, I mean, there is like a sense of unity in the lyrics here, like like more literally. But I thought it was gonna be a little more kind of hippie like. I mean, the music kind of sounds like that. So I do think it is a cool lyric approach on the song that kind of stand out from the other, tracks on the album.
No, I
So,
agree. I agree.
Mhm.
And I do think I like this song. I actually like To Find a Friend, Into a Higher Place, into House in the Woods, because I feel like you're not going from like slow acoustic to faster like you were earlier on the album. I feel like it's a more gradual transition because
It's a
House in the
build.
Woods has a lot of energy, even though it's a slower type of song. It's slower, but I was listening to it yesterday and I forgot how long like that outro goes with like the guitars
Yeah.
and the drums going crazy. So now, Tony, you had mentioned this is the beginning of the episode. You had mentioned you were surprised this was the song I would like. Is this a song you love that you're shocked that I like, or is this a song you hate that you're shocked that I like?
I it's kind of tied. I don't know which I like least, this song or or Hard on Me.
Ooh,
It seems like a song I should like, but something about it I'm just not that into. So I appreciate the change of the sound. It's a little rocker. I'll say right off the bat, this song reminds me musically of Red Mosquito mixed with the outro of Sir Psycho Sexy. It's got
Ooh.
kind of the chord changes of Red Mosquito, but it has that kind of looping, kind of
Yes.
drawn out thing of Sir Psycho Sexy. So that was pretty cool to hear because I was not expecting Petty to bust out something like that.
we definitely need to have an episode with your unhinged song comparisons, I think.
Throwing you guys for a loop here, all right. Um, but oh, and the bridge too. It does the Stairway to Heaven thing. Dun 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 dun. I know the part's got like that song's got like 10 sections, so
Mhm.
hopefully you know which one I'm referring to. Um, I will say, let me get some good stuff going on here. My favorite part of the song is probably the chorus and how they follow it with like the guitar and the drum fill.
Yeah.
That hits. Like those sound pretty mean. Um, a detail I noticed that was cool is in the guitar parts. Mike plays. He plays first off by doing the guitar bends, while the bass is simple. But then the second time through, they do the bass kind of picks up and the guitar switches to like arpeggiating chords. That was a detail that I missed on, and that definitely enhanced the song for me. There's a little bit of pedal steel later, which is really nice. But the one thing in the song that like gets me is it's pretty annoying hearing Petty sing out of tune with those bends for the verses.
I can see how the vocals, if you're not a Tom Petty fan, like this is definitely a song where I could hear Lindsay listening to it and like not loving it because she doesn't love Tom Petty's vocals. So I could see that. But I thought since you've now been pretty, in sync with Petty now for a little bit, it wouldn't have bothered you as much. But I could see where it
And I
could be
pretty
a
much
little
have
grating.
complimented all the other vocals on the album.
I like the vocal delivery.
yeah,
I
it
think
just
it's kind of fun.
overstays its welcome.
I like the horns on it.
Yeah, that is a nice
The horns.
take.
The what on it?
The horns.
Yeah. I may have
They're-
missed those. Where are they at?
Definitely at the during the outro.
Yeah.
They're
They're
like
there.
they're mixed in real well.
Yeah, they're
I'm pretty sure there are horns. Otherwise, what am I thinking of?
well, let me see. No, yeah, there's saxophone. There's
Oh,
like
yeah,
three
cool.
different saxophones on this song. 4.
Mhm.
There's 4 different sax players on this song.
What?
Yeah,
Now, when Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers did Southern accents, Tom tried really hard to work horns into the songs, and for the most part, it was kind of a disaster, and he ended up hating a lot of it. So I don't know if this was a redemption for the horns on this song.
Could be.
Because they're mixed, like Chris said, they're mixed way more smooth than they were on Southern accents.
Mhm.
Now, I do think you need to listen to the alternative version, Tony, because like I said, there's a whole section where they go into this double time jazz feel.
Middle.
Yeah.
It's like, whoa, what is that?
Yeah. And I definitely see why they didn't include it on the normal album version. It kind of almost sounds like they're doing, because there's another outtake from this album, Driving Down to Georgia. And it kind of, that both songs have like a section where it's kind of that sound. But you might appreciate the song more with that section, Tony. Or you might hate it more. I don't
Okay.
know. I mean, you're not a fan of the song,
we'll
so.
see.
But I've always loved the song. I think this one's super underrated. I think in 2016 or 17, maybe it was like 2013 before Hypnotic Eye. They did a couple shows, I think, in New York where he pulled out some deep cuts, one of them being Dogs on the
Beacon
Run.
shows.
Yeah, Dogs on the Run acoustically, which that's such an underrated Tom Petty song. And I think they did House in the Woods too, which was like
I'm
a
sure
shocker.
they just broke out
Yeah.
as many rarities as they could.
So this one was for sure a deep cut. But I love it. I like it kind of more every time I listen to it. It's kind of a fun one to play on the piano because the chords for the song just work to me better on a piano than they do on a guitar.
Mhm.
It's a hard one to sing, and the vocals are pretty up there for Petty, but I don't know. And I love the vibe of the song. I like the lyrics a lot, like talking about being in a cabin during summertime. Like it's just, I don't know, it's got good vibes.
Yeah, it's weird. Like a few years ago, I remember I had a dream, and for some reason, like the song was in the dream,
Oh,
and like for some reason, there were like I remember papers flying around. I don't know why, and
Papers in the Wind.
I don't know. I may have been like outside too. I just remember having that dream and like that. So it was getting like very David Lynchian.
So Tony, all you have to do is dream about the song, and then you'll appreciate it more.
I mean, I don't know if that's a dream or a nightmare.
It was
depends how you
definitely a
look
dream.
at
Like, well, I'm like, what was the dream telling me? Still haven't figured it out.
Clearly, there's like buried treasure somewhere,
So,
like in
yeah.
a house in the woods. You got to go find.
Yeah.
it.
But then we get to the end of the song, and it has that little sound effect,
Oh yeah, that plays off. Yeah, at the very end.
which leads into Crawling Back to You.
I keep crawling back to you. I keep crawling back to you.
Yes, which I'm gonna warn you right now, Tony.
Is the best song on the album.
I respect that very much.
That's your opinion, Tony?
Best song on the album.
I won't argue with you on that one.
This is Chris earlier surprised us by saying you recommend his favorite Tom Petty song. This is my favorite Tom Petty song. Crawling Back to You.
It's my second favorite on the album.
As my favorite on the album, it's my favorite Tom Petty song.
And I know it was like one of Tom's favorites too.
Yeah, it's one that anytime they played it live, he'd always say like, we don't play this one live too often, but it's always been one of my favorites.
Yeah, so excited when he played it on the last tour.
Yeah, I would have died, I think. But Tony, I'm shocked because I just listening to the song, I just don't see how this one would appeal to you knowing your taste in music. Like, why do you prefer this one over Honeybee or over You Don't Know How It Feels or any of your other favorites, Don't Fade on Me, that you mentioned before?
Well, so Honeybee, for example, it excites me, but it doesn't move me. To me, this song is genuinely moving. I like to use the word convincing. Like, what he's singing about, I feel it. So there's a lot of things that kind of separates this song from the rest of the album for me. First off, it has that little intro, like kind of like ambient noise, like from the instruments, which you don't really get a lot of that on this record.
See,
So
I
that
thought
kind of
that
makes
was
it
like a little
stand out.
I thought that was like a Mellotron, but maybe I'm wrong.
I did write guitar noodle.
There's a
and
Mellotron on it.
For sure, yeah.
And I think like just like the arrangement of the whole song, it's just really well done, put together. It's fleshed out. The guitar parts, they're really functional, but they're still interesting. You know, I'm not just like, okay, A chord, G chord, like they sound, like they've been developed. Some of the guitar tones are amazing on this song. I'm not sure exactly what he's doing, but the kind of like that tremolo sound. And it almost kind of comes off a little synth-like, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
The dynamics sound fantastic. It sounds really natural. Like it sounds like what an ideal live performance would sound like. Like to me, it just is perfect. For me, I mean, I don't really know that many Bruce songs, but it kind of feels a little Brucey at first. Kind of just like, I don't know, like with the piano and everything.
Okay.
I like the lyrics a lot. My favorite line being, most things I worry about never happen anyways. Too damn real.
I love the before line too, or I'm so tired of being tired. Like that's such a relatable line.
Yeah, I know he got that most things I worry about never happen anyway. He said like he got it like from a book of phrases that a friend or cousin had gotten to him. He saw that line, I was like, oh, that's too good.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. My only critiques I have for the song is I hate the way he says Los Angeles.
I mean,
I'll
you
let it
gotta
slide.
make a
That's no
rhyme
big
with
deal.
knees. But yeah,
And then
Lindsay also hates the way
I'm
he says
still
it.
warming up. Glad I'm not the only one. And the bridge I'm still warming up to. It's a very Tom Petty sounding bridge, but it just kind of comes off a little too majory at first, especially with saying like, "Hey, baby."
I
Love
don't know,
it.
that bridge is like maybe my favorite part of the song, if I'm being honest. I love that bridge.
Oh, get out of here! Get out of here!
I love
I
that
will say though,
section.
it's growing on me, especially because I kind of relate it to You and I Will Meet Again. The bridge in that song kind of starts off the same way. So kind of once I kind of made the connection, I'm starting to like it more.
Because that's
But,
the moment of the
yeah,
song to
no,
me where
this
he sounds
song-
like the most desperate almost.
Mm.
Like he sounds the most like, I mean, the performance throughout the whole song is fantastic, but that bridge to me is where he really sells it.
Yeah.
Like, I'll
The
believe.
harmony vocals on it.
Yeah. Which I gotta assume was Howie.
Easily.
Yeah. I mean,
Another
Howie harmonized fantastic with Petty. And nothing against Ron. their original bassist who did come back after Echo. But yeah, Howie was just phenomenal as a background singer. I maybe not quite Mike Mills level, but he was up there.
I mean, he does that high part in Into the Great Wide Open,
Mm-hmm.
which makes
Or
that.
my favorite, probably Howie backing vocal is in Swingin'.
Yep.
In the chorus. But yeah, crawling back to you, I could write a whole probably essay about this song. Like it's perfect. And the best part is when they released this, All the Rest, we got a demo where the song sounds completely different. Like the tempo, it's like this kind of down to down to down to, it's kind of like this back and forth shuffle feel almost. Tom does a crazy guitar solo in that demo because it's mostly just acoustic guitar, but out of nowhere, after the bridge, he does this like electric reverb soaked electric guitar solo. And then you have the Finding Wildflowers alternative version of the song where you have the original drummer Stan doing drums. And the whole song just sounds a little faster. Like I feel like the tempo is just a tiny bit faster than the original. Mike's guitar solo is a little more in your face. And then there's a lot more piano too. I feel like there's more piano soloing near the outro of the song.
I'll have to go back to that.
I love and then the live versions are great too. Like there's never been one bad version of this song, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's kind of a song that just keeps giving to me. Like I can listen to the song almost any mood I'm in.
Right.
I love the performance. I love the lyrics. Every instrumentation on the song is genius. And I don't know.
The drums are a lot more active
Oh
compared to
yeah,
the rest of the album.
I love Steve's cymbal rhythm.
Which kind of makes it feel quite climactic to the album as well.
Definitely.
Yeah, and because this is the penultimate, it's the penultimate track. It's like, it's it's your last really flashy moment because you end with like a ballad for maybe not quite the best way to describe it, but you went on a more slower reflective note with Wake Up Time. So I love the placement.
There have been times like when I've just listened to Crawling Back to You on repeat just because it's so great.
And I'm so happy this is your favorite on the album, Tony, because I was not expecting you to put this even near the top.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Come on. You have such low expectations for me.
What a brother.
No, yeah.
Too real.
We all love Crawling Back to You. There's one song left, Wake Up Time.
'Cause it's wake up time. Time to open up your eyes and rise and shine.
Now, when we heard this together, Tony, I think you were a little surprised the album ended this way. And I didn't know if that was in a good way or in a bad way for you.
I don't understand why you wouldn't just leave Crawling Back to You as the closing track. Because after that's like one of those songs you listen to, especially on one of your first few listens, and you just need to like stop the album, just like sit in your silence for a minute, like just process what you just went through. So to hear Wake Up Time start after and just to hear a very simple chord progression, that's not a turn off necessarily, but it feels quite vanilla in the instrumentation.
Well, let me stop you really quick. Just I think to fill you in on the story, and Chris can correct me if I'm wrong. Tom wrote the song by himself on piano, which he primarily writes on guitar, but he wrote on piano. And I think he played it for Rick, and Rick's like, this is great. And then I think Tom originally was going to have Benmont play it. And I think Rick was the one that said, no, this is such a great song and personal song to you. And I think it sounds great with you playing it. And I think it's Petty on the album. I think he does the piano.
Yeah, I thought Benmont suggested.
Or maybe it was Benmont. Yeah, maybe it was not Rick. Yeah. But I'm pretty sure I could be wrong on that. Because now that I'm looking at it does say, Tom is credited for piano on Wake Up Time.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. So I think that is something to kind of consider when you are thinking of the song, because it was kind of different for Tom to play piano on a song where like the main hook is the piano.
Yeah, here I got the quote from Benmont. I wanted to play on Wake Up Time, not necessarily piano because I love the way Tom played piano, but just to play something on it. We cut a couple of times with him on piano, and I played organ, but it didn't work out. I think the only thing wrong with me not being on this track is that it kind of hurt my ego, but I got over really quick because the right thing was for Tom to be playing on the piano.
Yeah, and I think there is an alternative version on what album?
On American Treasure and the
Yeah,
Final
yeah.
Albums, where it's
Yeah.
definitely much more electric.
Yeah. So you might like that version better, Tony, because I'm assuming what you're about to say is that even with the experimentation, it still maybe it drags a little for you.
Yeah, okay. Well, I will say, hearing that it is Tom on the, on the track, that does actually make it a little bit better for me. I think it's just like when the instrumentation is so well done on the rest of the album, and then to have kind of this, and it's not that I was like, this is noticeably played not as well, but I do appreciate that on that. That is cool. It was just a song that didn't really pull me in. It's a little bland. It also feels underwhelming. But this is one of the ones that is growing the most on me.
Okay, good.
My favorite part by far is the sections where he says, "You feel like a poor boy." I love like the melody of it, how he sings it. I like how it sets you up, for the end of the progression there. Once I internalized the structure of the song, I also liked it more. I think it is structured really well. And it's kind of one of those all songs that like the structure isn't super obvious, even though like the chord changes in the sections are pretty different, Still don't love it as a closer. I just feel like it's kind of it's a subtle closer, which I don't always love. It's kind of like whatever the last song on Recovering the Satellites is. It's kind of to that effect.
Oh,
to me.
Walkways. Yeah. But
Right.
don't you think
like it's not bad, but
unlike that album, don't you think this one bookends the album better, because you start with Wildflowers, which is kind of a slower opener that kind of builds a little bit, and then you end with the song that kind of does the thing but in reverse? Because I think if you end with Crawling Back to You, I don't know, I feel like you don't have a complete story there. You don't have a complete front to back, in my opinion. But I could see someone not loving the song because it maybe is a little slow, or maybe they think it's a little lackluster. I can see that argument. I just don't share that same opinion.
that's a valid point about completing the story. I think that is actually a really good point. I guess Crawling Back to You would not quite do that as
Because
well.
I know you actually really liked Hard Promises closer. You can still change your mind. Where I know Chris, that's not like one of his favorites, but it is one of my favorites. And Tom has had he's had different type of closing tracks. I mean, like I can't wait till we give you Echo, because the closing song on Echo is a beast, and I think you will absolutely love that song. But he can't always close an album out like that. Sometimes he has a weak closer. I never really love like Built to Last, which closes Into the Great Wide Open. But it sounds like a closing song, but it just doesn't hit as hard as Wake Up Time for me, or
American Girl.
Oh yeah, I mean that's got to be his best probably closing track. Yeah, I mean, I was shocked when I
ending on that
got
guitar solo. Yeah,
I was
Yeah,
shocked
they
when
all
I
can't be American Girl.
when I got into Petty Through the Greatest Hits and I went through all the albums, I was like, wait, I thought it was an album opener. I'm like, this is the album closer? Are you kidding me? So, but I've always really appreciated Wake Up Time. I think I just really like the lyrics a lot. I like how reflective it is. You hang out forever and you still miss the dance. You might
It's got like
find
a
the
Bruce feel to me.
you might find the forest there,
I
in the
did pick that up.
trees.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, I think it has some fantastic one-liners.
Hmm. Sure.
I really like
I
the
mean,
way it flows.
I can live with the piano, the simple piano. I can live with the "You were so cool" back in high school rhyme.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can live with how he says it's wake up time. That takes me way out of the song. Like I literally heard it and I was just like, there's no way he really just did that.
I
And then
don't
he does
know.
it again.
I don't know then if we can give you a Bob Dylan album.
I mean, maybe if the rest of the song was done more loosely, maybe like House in the Woods. At least he sings the whole song pretty consistent. This it really just takes me out. Now, Chris, please be the voice of reason here and tell us that this song is mid. Is mid.
Tony. It's oh God.
Yeah, it's
Like I
not
don't know
mid.
where
I'm
to begin.
sorry.
It's just I mentioned earlier, like the way how he ends the album with "Crawling Back to You" and this one is just so damn good. It works. It's like you have "Crawling Back to You" trying to give, like the relationship or marriage one more chance, and then he realizes that it's not going to work. So he's waking up to the reality that it's time for him to go off and find and start anew.
Yeah, how
And
perfect is it to end an album with a song called Wake Up Time?
yeah, and maybe it's just because like one time I was like listening to the album, I kind of like dozed off, and then I was literally waking up to wake up time and just hearing the um those words. I'm like, and maybe it just hit me like differently, like, oh, I gotta like maybe make some changes in my life as well. So
Was
definitely
this
the
when you woke up
university.
from a cabin in the woods? Woke up from that one.
I forget, but I
Yeah,
just
no,
love it so much, the performance of it. And even there's a performance that they did on a show called Soundstage, like
oh, I know which one you're talking about.
season two.
They also did Crawling Back to You, I think, too.
Yeah, so he did this one more acoustically, and like with Mike just on like his little Rickenbacker mandolin, which is really cool. So I have to disagree. It's my favorite album closer.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
it's up there for me too. Like I said, the album closer on Echo to me is up there. Um,
It's
that
also
one
in my
is
top 50, so
yeah, okay, which we're about to get to here in a second. But I will say, Tony, listen to the alternative version because, like Chris said, it rocks out a little bit more. There's more like heavier guitars. You might appreciate it more. And then you also have when you watch a documentary, there's moments where there's like photos and videos of him like on the piano, and then there's also sections where they're recording the strings for the song, and there's a
oh yeah,
couple
the strings
moments
are
where it's just an instrumental version of the song with no lyrics, no singing, and that really also kind of added to my appreciation of the song. So I think maybe watching the documentary will maybe when you hear the song in different forms, you might appreciate it more because I think maybe you are getting hung up a little bit on like the vocals or the simplicity of the song, which I know from your personal music taste that you sometimes really have to find um the little things when it comes to a song being simple. You have to find the nuances.
and I really love the strings too in the
Yeah.
song.
Yeah. Yeah, to me it's like how
I will say it does flesh out nicely.
yeah, it's to me kind of the way like night swimming almost ends automatic for the people,
Okay.
where it's with the strings and it's beautiful. The only difference is then you get Find the River after, which is also a very reflective song. And I think maybe that's what you were hoping with this album, where but you wanted Crawling Back to You to be that song, but it's not. You get Wake Up Time.
So I will say kind of maybe just kind of like rephrase. I think a better way I can explain it for me is that like me kind of musically, if I had to compare it to Darkness on the Edge of Town, I would say it's kind of like Streets of Fire, where it's like the simple chord progression, simple piano. Obviously it's not as doesn't rock out as hard. And Streets of Fire, it's placed after Factory, which for me is my least favorite on the album. It's kind of a lower point, but it comes right before Prove It All Night, which is an absolute banger. I know, Chris, you said that was your favorite. Um, and so I don't know. For me, it's a nice lull, uh, where when you follow it after the best song on the album, "Crawling Back to You," it makes that feel like a little underwhelming, I
I
guess.
think that's your problem too, that
I
this
think that's
happens
the
to be
problem.
the follow-up to your favorite on the album. So
Yeah, that
I
I mean,
understand that. You're still wrong, but I understand it.
well, I hopefully, yes, after more listens and maybe in some different context of this song will, it feels like a closer. Maybe it will turn into one of my favorite closers.
The fact that we agree
Time
on
will
our
tell.
favorite song on the album, that much I was not expecting. So, um, don't worry, you're
Have some faith
forgiven.
in me.
You're forgiven that because that maybe I think
I
was
mean,
your worst hot take on the album. Honestly, I think every other
was
was not liking Wake Up Time as much as us. Because I think I agreed with most of your other takes, even if I didn't fully agree with them. You know,
yeah. I mean, how did I do, guys? How did I do?
I think
You
you
did well.
appreciated, yeah, you appreciated the album more than I thought you were going to. And not because like you didn't have what it takes to. I think it sounds like you gave the album its due time listening to it. And it's a long album too, so I can't fault you on after 4 or 5 listens, you're like, okay, I have listened to this hour album again. Like I understand, the Steely Dan one was like what, barely 40 minutes. So yeah, it's definitely a lot longer of an album. And again, if you were to add on all the rest, the demos, the alternative versions, and then the live versions, that's like I don't know, that's got to be like eight
Would have
hours
been a
long or
lot for
something.
you.
Yeah, it would have that would have killed the album for you. You would not have enjoyed, I don't think, any of it. I hope down the road, when you appreciate the album, hopefully even more as time goes on, you'll want to go and listen to the alternative versions and the demos because I think they're very important. If you love this album as much as Chris and I do. Um, Now, Chris and I might be doing an episode here in the future where him and I do go over some of these bonus stuff because I do think they're very important. But again, I think you have to be a huge fan who's heard it since it's come out. Because even some of these songs we have known beforehand, like, well, some of them didn't even make it, like Lonesome Dave. That one's been around for a little bit. Or the song that Rod Stewart ended up doing,
Leave
Leave
Virginia
Virginia
alone.
Alone. Yeah. So it is a lot of music. But no, I mean, I think you liked this album more than I thought you were going to, which for me is fantastic because like I wasn't
And,
as
and
worried
don't
with
worry, guys.
don't worry
Don't
what.
worry, guys. I do like Wildflowers more than Hard Promises. I'm not that crazy,
Okay.
but I will say,
Oh,
uh, "A Cabin in the Woods" is the criminal kind on the album for me.
Is
all
the what
right.
on the album?
The criminal kind. That my least favorite on Hard
Okay.
Promises. I was not vibing with that one. It's just kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't need to get
I get
into it,
I
but
I get it. I get it.
I am actually looking into hearing more of Petty's kind of softer moments and stuff. More songwriter moments, which I guess what, because Hard Promises is a Heartbreakers record,
Yeah.
right? So
I mean, this
Yeah.
album is like what I think like every songwriter aspires to is just to get, when they get in that zone where it's like it seems like everything is just working. And like I know when he's talking to Rick Rubin, Rick had mentioned to him about if he had ever heard like the White Album demos, and I think that's what how they just were working on the songs before going to studio, and then they took months to record that as well. So I think that's what Tom was focusing on, was really just getting the songs done, like getting them formed before the sessions. And it's like every time I listen to it, I just want to like just start playing.
right,
I'm always
yeah.
left
It sounds like a
inspired.
very
Yeah.
focused record.
Now I just don't know what to give Tony next because I feel like if we gave him like Damn the Torpedoes or Full Moon Fever, it's another situation where he knows probably half the songs on the albums. So it's like I don't know. Do we give him? I mean, do we go another Heartbreakers album? Do we give him Full Moon Fever? Do we give him something newer, older? I don't know. There's
It's whatever he's feeling. What do you think?
yeah,
I see. Okay,
it
I would
depends. I
say
think
I'd
if
be.
if you want to hear Mike shine, I still think Mojo is his best album, Mike's best album. Like that was the album where Tom was just like, Mike, just do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah,
And he goes ham on like every song.
they made the album just so Mike can play it, the like new Gibson that he got. It was like a 59 or something. I forget what it was.
Yeah, which
I
probably
mean-
ended up being a tax write-off for him at that point.
Why not?
When the two songs I know from the record is I Should Have Known It and Don't Pull Me Over, that is a record I'm looking forward
Oh, wait till
to.
you hear Good Enough.
Oh yeah, good enough is yeah. Because I played Tony and I went to we went to go
I took him to a dispensary.
yeah. And so I made him play Don't Pull Me Over on the way
Partake.
home. But
Yeah,
yeah,
well, let's
that
leave it up there.
Well,
yeah, that's true. That's true. But
I
yeah,
will
we
say
have a lot
this.
of options.
I am definitely more interested in hearing more more songwritery stuff from Petty, like Wildflowers, as opposed to maybe just some of the straight hard rock songs. Like you said, I know a lot of the earlier, kind of big hits and stuff. And I would also rather discuss an album like Wildflowers more than just, some solid rock songs. Obviously would love to hear them too. But I would be interested to hear Mojo because I just pulled up the track listing and it's also 15 songs. And I
Yeah,
actually do
strong.
only know 2 of them.
And I will say with Mojo,
So
I do think
Mojo's got my
there's
eye for a rock one.
Mojo. Sometimes it was more about quantity over quality. I feel like there's definitely some songs I would have cut to make it shorter. I
Yeah,
don't think it's a perfect
me too.
album like Wildflowers, but there's a lot of great sounds on Mojo for sure. So I think to wrap up this episode, Chris, I think we'd love to hear your list.
The whole list or just the
Just-
Wildflower?
Let us know the Wildflowers, because I guess it would be a spoiler for Tony for you and I
Yeah.
could talk about it on another episode.
That is true. Good point.
But
All right.
yeah, let's see what Wildflower songs made your list and where.
So you wrecked me, like I said, number 1.
Okay.
Crawling Back to You, number 8.
Ooh, see that's too low.
All right, I'll give you the top 10 and then I'll do the
Okay,
Wildflower.
okay. Yeah, let me
You
hear
wrecked
the
me, number
content.
1. Number 2, Love is a Long Road from Full Moon Fever.
Oh, great song. Thanks to
Number 3.
Grand Theft Auto.
Number 3, Runaway Trains from
Ooh.
Let Me Up.
Let Me Up. Yep. Great underrated song.
Number 4, King's Highway from Into the Great
Classic.
Wide Open.
One of my
Number
favorites.
5, Woman in Love, It's Not Me from Hard Promises.
Wow,
Fantastic.
that's pretty high in my eyes.
Oh yeah, love that. Number 6, Like a Diamond from Last DJ.
Interesting.
Number 7, Learning to Fly.
Classic.
Number 8, like I said, Crawling Back to You. Number 9, Depending on You from Full Moon
Ooh.
Fever.
I've always loved that one. That's one of my favorites from that album. Underrated.
Number 10, Century City from Damn the Torpedoes.
I knew that was going to be on your list. I knew it. I remember you just always saying that was one of your favorites from.
I've heard it a couple times, so I don't remember too well, but I am
Very
surprised
rocker.
by that.
You hear a punk influence in it. All right, let's see here. Number 19, Wildflowers.
Okay.
Number 21, Wake Up Time.
Too high for Tony, but okay.
Astronomically high. Okay.
29, It's Good to Be King.
Okay. That
Number
one's
30,
gone up for me.
Huh?
That one's definitely gone up my list.
Number 30, Honeybee.
Hell yeah.
I'm for it.
Oh, that might be all.
That's still a good amount. I mean, I know it's a
Yeah.
long album, but
And just for fun, because the only other full Petty album I know is Hard Promises that we went over. Is there any other Hard Promises tracks on that list?
I gotta assume
Uh,
Waiting's gonna be on there.
Yeah, that one's on there. Number 18. Oh, maybe I didn't have that much on there. Sorry for the dead time. But who cares?
Oh no, yeah, people if they haven't checked out by now.
Oh, Insider I had. That one's number
Oh,
46.
Okay.
okay. I
I'm
couldn't
sure
have it
things
that
will
high because of
change.
Stevie Nicks, but
But yeah, like I said, I got 5 of the songs from Wildflowers when I saw them live.
that's insane. Yeah,
Uh,
It's a third of the album.
yeah. So You Don't Know How It Feels. That was the third song they played. And then he
I
did
did
like,
hear that one.
yeah. And then he did the little Wildflower section talking about it. So he did It's Good to Be King, Crawling Back to You, and then the title track all in a row. And then open the encore with Do You Wreck Me.
That's
Right
great.
on.
And it makes
And you got
sense
like
now
all your favorites too, pretty
Yeah.
much.
because now that I'm thinking about it, um, he at that point he might have because I remember they released Somewhere Under Heaven way
2015,
before,
yeah.
yeah.
So it was
So
around that time that he was
probably
working on the box
working
set.
on it, and he was I know he was really excited about all the Wildflower stuff. So
Oh
I
yeah, and probably planning on what to do with it,
yeah.
all the extra material that he wanted to do. So he was definitely, I think, already thinking about it on that last tour.
Yeah, because they didn't actually play that many songs from Hypnotic Eye on that tour. Like
Well,
they
I mean, obviously on the regular Hypnotic Eye tour they did, but
no, like when I saw them on Hypnotic Eye tour, they only did like 3 or 4 songs from the album.
Oh.
Like they started dropping a lot of the songs live. Like I don't know if they just weren't working for them. Like Fault Lines they stopped playing live, and like Red River, and
Oh, really?
yeah, like I didn't hear any of those when I saw. I think I saw like he played like the American Plan B, whatever that one was called, the opening
American
song,
Dream.
Dream B, yeah. And he did obviously Shadow People because that was like the song where he does the big solo at the end,
Forgotten Man.
and that was it. I think I don't think and then maybe You Get Me High, and that was it. So
Yep,
that he
You Get
played
Me High.
those are the only ones I saw on my show, at least.
And yeah,
That
same with me.
yeah, so I was actually kind of surprised he played so little from that album.
It must have been tough for him. Like, obviously he's not like Pearl Jam and Bruce who
Play
do like
3 hour
different
shows.
sets every night. They pretty much had like a structured set.
That's true.
So for him to balance out new material with the hits.
he has so many hits. Yeah, Tom Petty. I mean, yeah, he's got I would say more hits and bigger hits than like Pearl Jam.
Oh, easily.
Yeah. So, well, I think we've talked our own ears off about Tom Petty and Wildflowers. Tony, I am glad you enjoyed the album overall.
Yes, thank you guys for showing me the way. I do think it is a great record. After a first few listens, I really did understand it. As far as a top 3 album, that is no longer a ridiculous pick in my eyes.
Yeah, knowing my taste, it shouldn't be super surprising.
No, I thank you guys for sharing that to me. A lot of really good songs in here that I'm definitely gonna be listening to these next few months.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll be
I
getting,
think it'll get better with age. The longer
yeah,
I sit with it.
and you'll be getting another Petty album down the road.
And it's a good one to listen to if you're like just sitting around a campfire.
Right. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, I told you guys have a little campfire thing too. You have one of those outdoor pits, right?
We know we don't touch that thing.
What? Dad talks about it all the time. Whenever he's like, "Oh, mom and me are sitting outside in the morning."
Get
around
out of
it."
here.
Wow. Apparently, that's what he told
Oh, well,
me.
they use it as a coffee table. They don't use it for a fire.
Okay. And then
But,
yeah, I think we're gonna try to have Chris on. Chris might actually be doing an episode or two with me, because Tony, you got a couple things going on. In fact, maybe
Yes,
we'll do
yes.
maybe we'll be doing an episode when you're done with your gig. You're doing a gig up in the Tri-Cities here in a couple weeks.
Yes, we were
Um,
playing the Tri-Town
Ooh.
Get Down, and the biggest name that we're actually playing with, we are on main stage, and we get to play underneath Kyle. I don't know any of his music, but I guess he's got a popular song called "I Spy," and he's
That name does
like
not
with
ring a bell.
Kid
with me,
Cudi
but-
or something like that. I don't know. I told some people that we're playing with this guy, and they got excited. So
Mhm.
yeah, I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Yeah. So
I can't
yeah,
wait to hear about it.
Chris and I will maybe do a couple episodes while you're gigging. And then Chris most likely will be back hopefully in July when I give you your next Bruce Springsteen album. So stay tuned for that.
Does that mean you'll be getting your next Beach Boys album?
Ooh.
Oh, that would be a good little 2-for-1 deal right there.
And then maybe I'll give you guys an album.
We got to get you on that.
Oh, there we go. I know. I think we need what was the album we were talking about, Tony, that we needed? Oh, probably like a Fleetwood Mac.
That might be a little too inflammatory right there. I don't know if you'd be able to make it through the whole thing, Chris,
What?
without wanting to go slap us.
I mean, Tony eventually needs a Bob Dylan album too.
That is true.
And then there was one. Oh, I talked about giving you another U2 album.
Or you too.
Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff planned for the future. We just gotta grab a calendar and mark some time. So
Plan
But-
it out yet.
yeah. Until then, thank you for listening to this probably almost 3-hour long episode.
Always nice to have you on, Chris.
Thank you as always.
Yeah.
I love it.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And until then, we're gonna close this episode out with my cover of Chris's favorite Tom Petty song, "You Wreck Me." So stay tuned and listen out for that. And until then, we hope you take care, and you'll be hearing from us soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tonight we ride, right or wrong. Tonight we sail on a radio song. Rescue me till I go down. If I stay too long in trouble town. Oh. Rescue me till I go wrong. If I dig too deep, if I stay too long. Oh, yeah, you wreck me, baby. Yeah, you break me in two, but you